Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Had a Dragon Spirit. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Not wasting no more time, let's start the story.
When Uzumaki Naruto looked up from his position, he saw that Uchiha Sasuke, his opponent, had taken the hit in his place. Naruto saw the Senbon needles piercing Sasuke's neck as he glanced over his shoulder. Sasuke said, "You alright, you dope?" Naruto questioned, "Why did you do it, Sasuke? Why?" "I hated you." "Then why?" Before falling backwards and being cashed by Naruto, Sasuke uttered the words, "I don't know, my body just moved on its own." Before Sasuke passed out and entered the realm of unconsciousness, he said, "So I guess this is it. My brother, I never got to kill him." Haku was only preparing to kill Naruto himself as he watched the scene in front of him through one of his ice mirrors when an unexpected event occurred. Abruptly emerging from the earth, Naruto's shadow took on the physical form of a blue dragon. Hitaki Kakashi was attempting to locate Momochi Zabuza, his opponent, on the mist-covered bridge when he suddenly felt a remarkable chakra. Could Naruto have unlocked his Kekkei Genkai with that chakra? "Zabuza, I'm a busy man and you're a busy man. So what do you say to ending this quickly?" he said, taking a scroll out of one of his Jonin vest's pockets. "And what did you have in mind to ending this quickly?" Kakashi then drew a line of his own blood across the open scroll while biting his thumb to unroll it. Then he slammed the scroll and his hands on the floor, making a hand sign as he said, "Kachiyose. Doden. Suiga no Jutsu. You can't find me in this mist, Kakashi." Several dogs appeared out of nowhere, and they were able to restrain Zabuza. When Naruto's shadow emerged from the ground, the battle swiftly changed in favor of Naruto and Haku. By hopping from mirror to mirror, Haku is currently attempting to evade the dragon's attacks, but if he keeps going at this pace, all of his mirrors will soon be destroyed. The remaining ice mirrors were destroyed by the dragon's sudden, fierce roar, which also sent Haku flying backward. Then, just as Naruto was about to kill him, Haku's mask came off in time to prevent the dragon from striking him. Simultaneously, a statue stood behind each of the 7 chairs seated around a table in a large room that was glowing yellow. The dragon that Naruto's shadow transformed into was resembled by one of the statues. One chair was empty, and 6 of the chairs had people seated on them. The oldest member of the group, who also seemed to be the only adult, said, "It seems Minato-san's son, Naruto, has awakened the blue dragon. Shu, you must go and teach him how to control his shadow." One of the seemingly preteens got to his feet, nodded, and walked out of the room. Naruto asked, "Why don't you?" as he glanced at Haku's face as the blue dragon returned to his shadow and everything went dark as he passed out from the shock of abruptly triggering his shadow. Naruto had no idea where he was or how he got there when he woke up in what appeared to be a sewer system. Before beginning to walk in the hopes of finding a way out, he asked, "Where am I?" After what felt like hours of walking, he eventually entered a spacious room that contained a gigantic cell. Curious, he peered through the cell's bars, but he jumped back as soon as 4 enormous claws emerged. When the blonde looked up, she saw 2 big eyes and a pair of razor-sharp teeth. "So, my jailer has decided to come to visit," said the voice. Stuttering, Naruto said, "A dot are you, the enormous 9-tailed Kitsune exclaimed, "If you're wondering if I'm the most powerful of the 9 Biju, then yes, I'm the one you know as Kyuubi." Naruto questioned, "Are you the one who brought me here?" "No, that'd be him," Kyuubi exclaimed, and Naruto turned to see a boy who appeared to be his age. He had blue eyes and pointy ears, and his black hair was pulled back in a ponytail, resembling that of a certain whining, lazy fool. He was dressed in an odd, squared robe that had black squares on the top right and bottom left and blue squares on the top left and top right. In the center of the robe was what appeared to be an eye with a blue pupil. "Hello, my name's Shu, Namikaze Shu, and I'm your ancestor," the kid replied. Naruto, barely believing what he had just heard, exclaimed, "You're my what?" Shu exclaimed, "As I said, I'm your ancestor. But how's that possible? You're the same age as me," replied Naruto. Shu said, "Actually, I'm 4012 years old." Naruto questioned, 4012? But how's that possible?" "I can't go into details, but let's just say that I've ascended beyond the realm of any mortal man," Shu replied. Naruto questioned, "But where is this place anyway?" Shu chuckled and went on, "This, my dear descendant, is your mind. Scape. Basically where you've got that thing locked up." After saying, "You mean you haven't noticed yet? Man, you're slow, runs in the family, I guess. Even after 4,000 years. Shu gestured to Kyuubi. "My mind. Scape?" inquired Naruto, who had no idea what Shu was referring to. "You're nothing like your father, your mind. Scape is basically an entire world within you. Everyone has one, though only shadow. Wielders and Jinchurikis can enter them," Shu continued. Naruto, clearly alarmed, said, "Wait, you're telling me that we're inside my head?" "Well, it's more like your stomach, but you get the point. Don't worry though, you can exit at any time. There's just something that I would have to explain to you first," Shu replied. Naruto wanted to know, "And what's that?" "About shadow. Wielders like yourself for example," said Shu. "Shadow? Wielders? What's that?" a bewildered Naruto inquired. "First I'll have to explain about shadows themselves. You see, a shadow is basically a physical manifestation of chakra. Much like the Biju, only not nearly as powerful. That resides in your shadow. There's only really 7 true shadow wielders around the world, the direct descendants of a group known as the 7 Soldiers of Light. I, myself is a direct descendant of one of them, and so, you're a direct descendant of him as well. But even though there's only supposed to be 7, there was a man 4,000 years ago that found a way of artificially creating shadows," Shu began to explain. "I'll comply even though I'm completely lost here." Having no idea what Shu was telling him, Naruto pondered. "Also, shadows usually tend to take the form of different animals, for example. Like me, your shadow is in the form of a dragon and his name is Blue Dragon. And shadow wielders are people that can control shadows. Though there were originally only supposed to be 7 of them, that number is now much higher due to the fact that even some artificial shadows were able to be passed on from generation to generation, just like a Kekkei Genkei. We believe that there are a total of 99 different clans that have dormant shadows," Shu continued. Naruto questioned, "So it's a Kekkei Genkei like the Sharingan?" "Well, it's a great leap from the Sharingan, but I guess you could call it a Kekkei Genkei. A very common yet almost completely unknown Kekkei Genkei," Shu replied. Naruto remarked, "Cool, so I've got a shadow." "Yes, but I must say, I'm quite surprised, not even your father was able to awaken his shadow before he was a Jonin. And you've barely graduated from the academy," Shu replied. Naruto said, "Wait, you know my father?" "Sure, and I could tell you who he was too. But you must promise to only tell the people that you can trust," Shu responded. Naruto responded, "Sure, I promise and I never go back on my word." "Good. Your father's name was Namikaze Minato. He was the Yondaime Hokage, the man who sealed Kyuubi inside Ofu," said Shu. What was all Naruto could say because, after all, he had just learned that his father had essentially destroyed his life. "I understand that you must be angry with him, but I'm sure that he sealed Kyuubi within you because he truly believed that you'd be able to control the fox," Shu responded. "Well, in that case I won't let him down," declared Naruto, who was intent on controlling Kyuubi. "I wouldn't have my hopes up, kid. There's many who have tried to control me before, but none has succeeded," said Kyuubi. "Hey, what about Hashirama-san and Madara? They were able to control you," Shu replied. "That doesn't count. They hypnotized me. I was under their control. The controlling that you've been talking about is more of a cooperation of human and Biju," Kyuubi responded. "Yeah, but they were still able to control you. I know it because I saw it," Shu replied. As he pushed his claws between the bars of his cell and Shu, Kyuubi said, "One more word from you, and I'll be eating dragon meat for dinner." He then reflexively retreated a few steps. "And how'll that happen when you're stuck in that cell of yours?" Shu inquired prior to turning to Naruto. "Naruto, you'd better return to the outside world now. Your teammates are starting to get worried about you. Oh, there's one more thing. I would like it if you could try and locate the other 6 of your generation of the 7 Soldiers of Light. I've got a feeling that they'll be needed soon." "Okay, but how shall I find them? After all, you said that there are 99 entire clans with shadows, so how am I supposed to know that it's those 6? Replied Naruto. "Simple, their shadows are in the forms of a minotaur, a phoenix, a saber, tiger, a hippo, a pharaoh and a chimera. I suggest that you also talk to Kakashi-san, Jiraiya-san, Tsunade-san and Hiruzen-san about this. They'd be able to help out. Also I'll return to help you master your shadow, Shu responded. Alright, thanks, so how do I get out of here anyway? Replied Naruto. Shu put his hand on Naruto's head and said, don't worry about it, I can get you out. A bluish glow emerged from Shu's hand before Naruto disappeared. The home of Tazuna Tsunami was sitting next to the bed when Naruto woke up in a bed in Tazuna's house, and she gave a little start when Naruto's eyes suddenly popped open. Before leaving to inform the others, Tsunami exclaimed, "Oh, you're awake." Soon after, Sakura, Chan, Inari, Tsunami, and Sasuke entered the room. Naruto exclaimed, "S. Sasuke? I thought Haku killed you," as soon as Sasuke entered. Apparently, Haku only put him in a death-like state, like he had done with Zabuza, said Kakashi. Naruto said, "Oh, that's right, what happened to Zabuza and Haku?" Well, Naruto, Kakashi continued by explaining what had transpired following Naruto's collapse. It seems that Gato brought a small army of thugs to Zabuza just before Kakashi could complete his charge. Zabuza killed Gato, but Kakashi and Haku scared the thugs away by making a number of cage bunshin and a bunch of ice needles. To drive the thugs away, even the locals turned up. Following the fight, Zabuza and Haku departed in search of a different means of raising funds in order to attempt to assemble an army in order to kill Yagura, the despot Mizukage. Naruto said, "So they left, huh?" To which Kakashi answered, "Pretty much." "Say, Kakashi. Sensei, could I talk to you alone for a minute?" Naruto responded. The others departed the room after Kakashi said, "Sure, what is it?" Naruto said, "Well," and began to describe what had transpired in his mind, Scape and what Shu-san had said. Kakashi said, "I see, so he told you about your father, did he?" Naruto nodded slowly. "But Kakashi Sensei, who are Hiruzen, Jiraiya and Tsunade?" Naruto inquired. "You know Hiruzen Sama quite well, Naruto. He's the Sandaime Hokage," replied Kakashi. "Gigi?" Naruto exclaimed in shock, and Kakashi nodded and grinned. As for Jiraiya, Sama and Tsunade. Sama, well Jiraiya. Sama's your god. Father, and Tsunade. Sama's his teammate, Kakashi responded. Kakashi nodded in response to Naruto's question, "Wait, my god, father." The hideout of Zabuza, the land of waves, but before they left, either Zabuza or Haku had implanted a microchip on Naruto that was linked to another one they had with chakra, and they had heard everything. This was something neither Naruto nor Kakashi had noticed. Zabuza exclaimed, "So, the brat's the son of the Yondaime Hokage." Zabuza. "Sama, what are we gonna do with all of this information?" Haku inquired. "I wonder if we could find any of these 7 soldiers of light," Zabuza said, adding that, "Nothing, though those shadows might help us against Yagura." The city of Light Shu was moving through the vast city's hallways, which appeared to be illuminated by a golden glow. A voice behind him said, "Shu, may I speak to you for a moment?" He turned to see a boy who was no older than himself, wearing silver pants, a green tunic with a black shirt underneath, and short black hair. He also had a sword that was horizontally resting just above his tailbone. He also had pointed ears, like Shu. Shu replied, "Sure, Jiro." "What is it?" Jiro questioned, "Why'd you place a dragon scale on Naruto?" Shu turned around and said, "Was that all? To protect him of course, plus that particular scale should be able to make him smarter, if only slightly." Jiro replied, "Yes." Shu said, "Good, now if you'll excuse me, Noi has summoned me," and turned to leave. 2 months have passed since Team 7 returned to Konoha from the Land of Waves, and during that time, Shu has made multiple appearances to teach Naruto how to control Blue Dragon. Naturally, he made sure that only Naruto, Kakashi-san, and Hiruzen-san were aware of his presence. Naturally, Naruto questioned how his ancestor could have appeared so suddenly, but he chose not to question it. After all, the 4012-year-old preteen had a lot of strange characteristics. Naruto once met Sarutobi Konohamaru, the grandson of the Sandaime, and his 2 companions Udon and Moegi after Team 7 had completed a mission. Naruto promised to play ninja with the 3 of them, so they came because they idolized the blonde genin. When Sakura, who was close by, overheard the conversation, she was shocked that Naruto, a ninja, would play ninja. The chase scene ended with Konohamaru running into a boy wearing a black catsuit because he thought she was Naruto's girlfriend. After saying, "That's gotta be smart," the boy grabbed Konohamaru by the collar. "Konohamaru!" shouted Naruto. "That hurt, snot face!" exclaimed the boy. The blonde girl standing next to the boy exclaimed, "Knock it off, we're gonna get it as it is." Sakura said, "I was playing around, so it was my fault," but then she wondered, who are these people? Naruto shouted, "Put him down, you big ape. These guys must be from Konoha, genin. I just want to play with him a little, while we're waiting for the nuisance to get here," the boy thought before speaking. Naruto shouted, "You better put him down if you know what's good for you," as a blue aura began to envelop him. Shu yelled, "Naruto!" and the aura vanished in an instant, but when Naruto turned to look around, he couldn't find Shu and it appeared that only he had heard him. What on earth was that? You're not supposed to be able to see chakra, so was it his? The girl pondered. Naruto screamed, "Hey, you in the black cat suit, release him now and I'll go easy on you, goon." Sakura choked him by putting her arms around his neck. Before letting go of the blonde, she muttered, "You're the goon. Do you want that guy to beat you up? You're starting to annoy me. First off, I'm allergic to shrimp. Bad enough that you're a short little kid. You're disrespecting your elders. You make me want to kill him," the child replied. Sakura and Naruto shouted, "What?" The girl declared, "I will not be held responsible for this." "Who is he? This is not good," Sakura pondered. The boy clenched his fist and thrust it towards Konohamaru's head, saying, "So I'll finish with this tiny shrimp, and move on to the jumbo shrimp over there." However, something grabbed it before it could make contact, and the boy looked down to see Shu, facing away from him, tightly gripping his wrist. Naruto was taken aback to discover that the 4012-year-old boy was wearing brand-new clothes in addition to exposing himself in front of multiple people. He was dressed in gray shorts, a black sleeveless shirt, and a blue Hite.8 with what appeared to be a dragon on it, according to Hite.8. Who is this child? How did he arrive here so abruptly? The boy thought. It seems like he just showed up out of nowhere. I hate people that bully those who are smaller than them, so if I were you, I'd put him down right now, Shu responded. Before attempting to escape Shu's grasp, the boy remarked, "Hey, and you expect me to be afraid of a shrimp like you?" He claimed that the kid's hold was too tight. Shu remarked, "You have no idea who you're dealing with, do you?" Before letting go of the boy's wrist and snatching his other wrist tightly enough to make the boy let go of Konohamaru, who then collapsed to the ground as Shu kicked him so forcefully that he struck a wooden wall. The girl exclaimed, "Konkuro.ni.san." She couldn't believe her younger brother had just been so easily beaten by a child. "All right, now you've done it," exclaimed the boy, who was now known as Konkuro, as he stood up and removed a bandage-covered object from his back. Shu looked at the girl and said, "So you're named Konkuro, is that right? The oldest son of the Kazekage of Suna? Then that must mean that you're the Kazecage's daughter, Tamari?" "Well, it appears that he has some knowledge about Konkuro.ni.san and me." The girl, who was now known as Tamari, thought as Shu abruptly turned to face a tree and noticed that Sasuke was perched on one of the branches, and beneath another, a brown-haired child was standing with his feet planted on the branch's underside. Shu exclaimed, "You can come down now, Gaara." Tamari and Konkuro looked up in surprise at the sight of Gaara, while Sasuke was astounded that someone had approached him so closely without his knowledge. "Gaara," began Konkuro. He crept up next to me. I had no idea, but he still managed to notice him. Who is he?" Sasuke thought, glancing down at Shu. His stealth skills rival Kakashi's. "It annoys me that you'd lose control in a quarrel with children. Have you forgotten why we came here?" Gaara replied. With a gesture toward Konohamaru, who had approached Naruto and the others, Konkuro exclaimed, "But Gaara, they started it. The little one slammed me." According to Gaara, "Shut up, or I'll kill you." Konkuro said, "You're right. I was out of line." Tamari said, "We're sorry." "Okay, Gaara. Really sorry." "He is therefore in command." "Well?" Sasuke thought. "He glares like a basilisk." Before vanishing in a whirl of leaves and resurfacing between his siblings, Gaara apologized for his friends. "I know we're a little early, but we didn't come here to play around. I swear it won't happen again," he said. Sasuke also appeared on the ground and said, "Hey, you there, what's your name?" "Sabaku no Gaara at your service, and you are?" Gaara replied. Sasuke said, "Uchiha Sasuke." Gaara glanced at Shu, who was standing beside the Uchiha, and said, "And you?" Shu exclaimed, "Namikaze Shu of Ryubikure. Never heard of that village before," Gaara stated. Without mentioning that the village, or rather, the city, is in the sky, Shu remarked, "I'm not surprised, not many people has. I suppose you could say that our village is in a very isolated location, though we still manage to keep tabs on the rest of the world." Gaara turned around and the three Suna nins vanished, saying, "I see, let's go." Shu turned to face Sakura, Naruto, and the Konohamaru Corp and asked, "Are you guys okay?" Naruto replied, "Why? Yeah, thanks for the help Shu-san." Shu replied, "Nah, don't worry about it," not noticing the frown that appeared on Naruto's face when she used the word jerk. Sakura said, "I'm Haruno Sakura, by the way, and the jerk here's Uzumaki Naruto." Shu pretended that she had never met any of them before and said, "Nice to meet you." Sasuke inquired, "How'd you do that?" Sasuke's question was entirely ignored by Shu, who remarked, "So you're Uchiha, right? Nice for you." "Wait a minute, Shu-san. What are you doing in Konoha?" Sakura inquired. "Ah, well, I'm here for the Chunin exam," said Shu. "Chunin exam?" inquired Naruto. "That's right. Twice each year, the Chunin exam is held so that genin like ourselves can get a chance to become Chunin, and shinobi from several villages participate each time," Shu clarified. Shu nodded in response to Naruto's question, "So there's genin from many different villages coming here?" Before turning around and waving goodbye, Shu said, "Well, it was nice meeting you, but I've got to get back to my team. See ya." He also said, "You all should enter, I'm certain that you could get far in the exams." Three shinobi who had watched the entire scene and thought no one had noticed were perched on a tree branch. "What do you think?" inquired one of them. "None of them are of any importance, except for the raven hair, the spook from Suna and the boy from Ryu. Keep an eye on them," another replied. The location of Team 7's meeting the following day. After waiting for several hours, Kakashi eventually appeared, as Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura had been waiting for him. "Morning, guys. Today, I wandered a bit from the path of life," said Kakashi. Sakura screamed, not at all believing Kakashi. "Sensei's story, you are such a liar. Would it kill you to at least pretend you're sorry? In any case, this may surprise you, but I've recommended all three of you for the Chunin exam," Kakashi responded. "Say what?" exclaimed Sakura. Before their sensei continued, Kakashi said, "You have to fill out applications." He took out 3 application forms, and each of the 3 genin took 1. "If any of you don't wish to compete, the exam is entirely voluntarily. The choice is yours. You needn't turn in those application forms unless you want to. If you do, report to room 301 at the school by 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon." After that, Kakashi fled, and the 3 genin began to make their way to their homes. Before considering, "I hope I can get through without having to use Blue Dragon," Naruto remarked, "the Chunin exam, I'll bet there'll be a lot of tough competition. I may have the opportunity to confront that spook, or perhaps even Ryu's," Sasuke pondered. "I don't want to. I can't even keep up with Naruto, forget about Sasuke-kun. I can't handle this exam," Sakura thought. Ninja Academy in Konoha. The following day, before entering the academy, Team 7 assembled outside, and Sasuke had observed that Sakura was acting strangely. After entering, they encountered a door with a sizable group of people outside and 2 children obstructing the door to room 301. After knocking down a kid wearing a bowl cut, a green spandex suit, and a red Konoha Hite.8 around his waist, one of the kids exclaimed, "Is someone as talentless as you really planning to take the Chunin exam? Why bother? Bunch of wet behind the ears snotnoses." Snark. "You said it," exclaimed the other. Before approaching them, a girl who was most likely the child's teammate begged, "Please, we're begging you, let us in." However, one of the two children obstructing the door knocked her to the ground. One of the children in the crowd remarked, "That's just cruel." "What did you say? You misunderstand. We're just trying to save you. The Chunin exam is incredibly difficult, and we should know. We've failed 3 times so far. There are people who made it, then immediately gave up being shinobi. Others who ended up crippled, some reduced to vegetables. We've seen it all. Besides that, Chunin are team commanders. They lead their units. The responsibilities for failed missions and dead shinobi rest firmly on their shoulders. And you little punks have the nerve to apply? Snort. We're saving a step by weeding out the obvious losers beforehand. What did you say?" Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura walked up to them and said, "That sounds good in theory, but you better let me through. And drop the genjutsu while you're at it. I have business on the 3rd floor." Of the 2 children, one said, "So you figured that out, eh?" With a wink at the end, Sasuke said, "It was easy. Right, Sakura? You were probably the first to notice it. You're the most analytical and the best in our team at understanding genjutsu." Sakura felt her confidence return. The sign indicating 301 was changed to 201 as she said, "Of course I noticed it. Obviously we're still on the 2nd floor." Before kicking Sasuke, one of the children exclaimed, "Hey, not bad. But just seeing through it isn't enough." The Uchiha tried to kick back, but the kid with the bowl cut appeared between them and grabbed their legs as if it were nothing. He moved so quickly. He positioned himself in the center of both of their kicks after noticing the attack patterns on both sides. Is that even possible? Sakura pondered. Naruto thought, wow, he's almost as fast as Shu-san. My kick was blocked by him, however, after the child had let him and the other one go. Sasuke thought, there's something strange about his chakra. A white-eyed boy walked up to the one with the bowl cut and said, hey, that's not what we agreed. You're the one who insisted we should avoid drawing attention to ourselves. But, the boy said, blushing as he turned to face Sakura. The girl with the bowl cut approached Sakura after saying, here we go again, and shaking her head. Hello, I'm Rock Lee. You're Sakura, aren't you? Would you like to go out with me? I'll give you my life to protect you, said the boy, who was now Rock Lee. Sakura said, no way. You are way out of hand, and Lee sagged. The white-eyed boy walked up to Sasuke and said, hey, you, what's your name? It's common courtesy to give your own name first, Sasuke replied. The boy inquired, you're a rookie, aren't you? How old? The two boys turned away from one another and started walking in different directions after Sasuke said, I don't have to tell you a thing. This exam is turning into a freak show. Gym and Ninja Academy Lee appeared above Team 7 as they were making their way to the third floor of the Academy's gym and challenged Sasuke to a brawl. In summary, despite using the Sharingan, Lee's speed swiftly overtook Sasuke. But before Lee could make the final move, Guy, his sensei, stepped in, stopping the fight. Team 7 members were terrified by Lee and Guy's man-hug after Guy had punched the child. I know Lee started this fight, but take pity on his old teacher. For the sake of my own self-respect, forgive him, Guy replied. The 4 genin and 1 jonin turned to face the voice and saw Shu and 2 other people. Hey, I see you took my advice of entering the exam. One of them was a young man with short black hair, silver pants, and a green tunic with a black shirt underneath. In addition, he had a green Ryuhite.8, pointed ears, and a sword resting on his back, slightly above his tailbone. The final one was a girl in a blue maid uniform with black hair pulled back in 2 ponytails. She also had a purple Ryuhite.8 and pointed ears. Naruto said, yeah, and we're gonna pass. I wouldn't put my hopes up if I were you. There aren't really that many that pass the exam when it's held, and besides there's never been a rookie that have ever passed, the kid replied. You never know, Jiro. I think they've got a pretty good chance, Shu replied. It doesn't matter what you think, Shu. They're nothing but weak rookies, Jiro replied. Hey, don't put me together with the 2 of them, I'm a Uchiha, said Sasuke. An Uchiha, huh? So what? There's nothing special about your over-rated clan, Jiro replied. When Sasuke asked, what was that? Just what I said, your clan is just like any other, nothing more, nothing less, Jiro replied. Sasuke snapped and woven a series of hand signals, saying, all right, that's it, Kaiten. Gukakyo no Jutsu. When the smoke cleared, everyone was shocked to see Jiro standing there, unharmed. The fireball was headed directly for Jiro, but the boy just stood there and allowed the ball of heated gas to strike him. What? His clothing is in perfect condition, Sasuke pondered. Jiro startled Sasuke by asking, Gukakyo, you really thought you could beat me with a technique I invented? A technique you invented? What are you talking about? The Gukakyo's been in my clan for generations, replied Sasuke. Everyone's eyes widened when Jiro exclaimed, I suppose that you could say my name's Uchiha Jiro. Uchiha? You say? That's impossible. The Uchiha clan was massacred and Sasuke was the only survivor, Guy replied. And what if I told you that one of my parents was a Uchiha that had left Konoha? Replied Jiro. Sasuke remarked, so, there's still other Uchihas around, huh? Yes, so you see. I should understand better than anyone that our clan is nothing special, Jiro replied. Before turning to face Naruto, the girl remarked, geez, Jiro-san. I think he gets the point already. Looks like he's inherited Shu-kun's handsomeness. Before the girl abruptly materialized in front of him, Naruto pondered, I wonder if these guys are as old as Shu-san. The girl, who was now known as Bouquet, said, well hello there handsome, I'm Ra Bouquet, what's your name? While the others were shocked by her speed, not even Guy had ever seen someone move so quickly, and he had witnessed the Yondaime at his fastest, Naruto said, Uzumaki Naruto, as he blushed and retreated a few steps because of how close she was. Bouquet grinned and said, Uzumaki Naruto, huh, nice name, what do you say to meet up and we can get to know each other better later? Shu could be seen in the background. Nothing stopped her from attempting to hook up with one of his descendants. She even tried to get Minato-san, but Kushina-san beat her to it. Even though it appeared that 2 of the 7 Soldiers of Light couldn't get married, since then the next generation of 7 Soldiers of Light would only be 6. Is she going to give up? Shu pondered. Before thinking, I can't believe someone over 4,000 years old is asking me on a date. Though she is pretty, I guess. Naruto uttered the trembling words, Sure, I guess. Before joyfully making her way back to her 2 teammates, Bouquet exclaimed, great. So, could you guys show us where room 301 is? Shu responded. Naruto responded, sure. The hallway outside room 301 of Ninja Academy. Kakashi was waiting outside the door to room 301 when Team 7 and Team Shu approached it. Glad you made it after all, Sakura. This way you all qualify to apply for the Chunin exam. Kakashi responded. Sakura said, what do you mean? The way the test is set up, it can only be taken by 3-man teams. Kakashi stated. But, Kakashi. Sensei, you said it was up to us to decide whether or not to apply. Were you lying? Naruto replied. I said what I had to keep your partners from pressuring you into coming along. Even if you had no interest in applying. One word from Sasuke and you'd have come along and gone through the motions, though your heart wouldn't have been in it. Kakashi replied. What would have happened if Sasuke-kun and Naruto had shown up without me? Asked Sakura. With an smiling expression, Kakashi said, I'd have washed them out right here. None of you would have gotten past this point without both of the others. But you're all here because you want to be. And I'm very proud of you. Now get in there. The 3 Konoha genins entered the door, and the Ryu genins followed them before coming to a stop in front of Kakashi. Kakashi said, you'll watch over them, won't you? And Shu gave a nod. Before he and his teammates entered, he said, we'll make sure that they won't get into too much trouble. 301 Ninja Academy. There must have been more than 100 applicants in the room, which startled Team 7. Abruptly, a girl wearing purple clothing and long blonde hair in a ponytail leapt onto Sasuke's back and gave him a hug. Sasuke-kun. Where have you been, cutie? I could hardly wait, it's so exciting, seeing you again after all this time, the little girl replied. Sakura cried out, Ino, you pig. Get your hooves off Sasuke-kun, at him. Hello to you, too, Sakura. Still hoping the big, mutant forehead look is going to come into fashion, huh? How sweet, Ino replied. As Ino's 2 teammates, Shikamaru and Choji, approached them, Sakura yelled, what did you say? Why don't you 3 save yourselves the embarrassment of flunking this test? Go die, okay, said Shikamaru. Hey, there you are, they exclaimed as they turned to face Kiba, Hinata, and Shino, the source of the voice. Hi, said Hinata. Kiba remarked, looks like the gang's all here. Shikamaru said, including you, unfortunately. So, I guess all three of this year's newbie trios decided to apply, huh? I wonder how far we'll all get. What do you think, Sasuke? Replied Kiba. Sasuke questioned, Kiba, are you trying to psych us by acting cool? Who's acting? The way we've trained, no way can you beat us, Kiba replied. Oh, shut up. You guys won't even beat me, much less Sasuke, Naruto screamed. Hinata twitched her fingers and said, I'm sorry Naruto.kun. Kiba.kun didn't mean that the way it sounded. When they turned to face the voice, they saw a man wearing purple clothing, glasses, a Konoha Hite.8, and silver hair in a ponytail. Would you guys do us all a favor and just shut up? They asked. You three gangs of Wood.be hotshots are all genin, right? Kids barely out of the local ninja academy. All wet. Behind the ears and runny nosed. This isn't a school field trip, you know. Who the heck do you think you are? Name's Kabuto. So what? You kids need to open your eyes. The man, who is now known as Kabuto, said. Sakura and the others asked, why? After noticing the AIM team behind them, who appeared, to put it mildly, irritated. Watch out for the group behind you. They're a Megacure shinobi and they've got very short fuses. Everyone's on edge, waiting to take the exam. I wanted to give you a heads up before someone snaps and beats the crap out of you. Kabuto continued. Naruto thought, they don't seem that tough. Kabuto reached into his weapons pouch and remarked, but it's probably unavoidable. Like all rookies, you think you already know everything. I remember what it was like. Sakura asked, Kabuto.san? Yeah? Asked Kabuto. Are you saying that this is the second time you've applied? Sakura inquired. Not second, seventh, twice a year going 4 years now, Kabuto replied. Wow, then you've got a lot of experience with what we can expect, said Sakura. Kabuto pulled out a number of cards and said, I guess so. Okay, the least I can do is give you sweet little babies some vital intelligence on what you're in for. With these shinobi info cards. Sakura. Shinobi info cards? As he placed the cards on the ground, Kabuto explained, to put it simply, they contain information about the skills we use, transformed into symbols and burned into the cards using chakra. Then, in front of the rookies, he laid down one of the cards. It took me 4 years to collect all the intelligence needed for this exam. In all, there are almost 200 cards. They look blank, don't they? The only way you can read the data on the cards is by using my own personal chakra. Each set is linked to its possessor, for example. Cards like this one, Kabuto stated prior to inserting chakra into the card. Before the card displayed a map of the elemental nations, Ino questioned, what's he doing? It's some kind of combination map and bar graph, in 3 dimensions. What kind of intelligence is this? Sakura responded. It shows how many applicants each shinobi nation is sending to this session of the Chunin exams. There's a total of 156 applicants for the exams, with 87 from Konoha, 30 from Suna, 21 from AIM, 6 from Taki, 6 from Kusa, 3 from Otto and 3 from a village named Ryu. Kabuto stated. Do you also have dossier cards? Cards for each individual applicant? Asked Sasuke. Ha ha. Why? Someone here you have a particular interest in? I'll admit these are far from complete, but I've burned a set of dossier cards for the current pool of applicants, including your team. If you share any data you have on this person who interests you, I'll be happy to look him up and let you know what I have so far. Kabuto replied. Sabaku no Gara from Sanagakure and Rock Lee from Konoha. Sasuke replied. Kabuto exclaimed, you know their names? No sweat, then, and then pulled out 2 cards. Kabuto put the card down for Rock Lee first, and Sasuke said, let me see them. First up is Rock Lee. He's a year older than you guys. Missions to date, 20D ranked, 11C ranked. His team's mentor is Might Guy. And his taijutsu skills have grown exponentially this past year. He has no other talents worth mentioning. He was considered a standout among last year's Genin, but he didn't apply for the Chunin exam. He's a first-timer, like you guys. His teammates are named Hyuga, Neji and Tenten. Kabuto stated before handing over Gaara's card. After Kabuto stated, next is Sabaku no Gaara of Suna. 8C ranked missions. 1B. Wow. Not many rookie shinobi get B ranked assignments. Since he's from way out in the desert, I have less on him, but it's interesting. He's come back from every mission completely unscathed. Without a scratch, before Sasuke made the decision to check if Ryu had anything on the 3. Kabuto produced 3 cards, but they were all blank. Do you have anything on Namikaze's Shu, Uchiha Jiro, and Ra Bouquet? All 3 from Ryu, he asked. Kabuto said, it seems like I don't have anything on them, sorry I couldn't be of any help. Sasuke turned to face Jiro, who was observing the competition, Bouquet, who was flirting with Naruto, and Shu, who was speaking to Naruto. Konoha, Suna, Aim, Kusa, Taki, Otto, Ryu. This year every hidden village has sent outstanding genin here to compete. I don't know much about Otogakure no Sato. It's part of a new, small nation, so intelligence on it is lacking. Every other competing village is well respected, home to some formidably powerful shinobi. Kabuto continued. Anybody besides me suddenly feeling kind of outclassed? Hinata inquired. What you're trying to tell us is, everyone here, said Sakura. Oh, yeah. They're all like Lee, Gaara, elite hand. Picked shinobi, the best young ninja in the world. They have to be. The test is pitiless, Kabuto replied. Shu, Jiro, and Kabuto appeared to be the only ones who noticed the 3 shinobi moving swiftly through the crowd. Bouquet would have likely noticed them as well, but she was preoccupied with other things. Before hurling 2 kunais at Kabuto, one of them leapt into the air, but he easily avoided it. But then another one swung his right arm in front of him. Before avoiding the Otto Nin's arm, Kabuto thought, they're from Otto. Then, his glasses broke, and he removed them, thinking, I see, this kind of attack is, what's going on? He dodged the blow, but something broke his glasses, said Sasuke. His nose probably got grazed, serves him right for acting all superior, said Shikamaru. Then Kabuto vomited and abruptly fell to his knees. It caught everyone in the room off guard because they all assumed the man had escaped the blow. Sakura approached Kabuto and asked, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine, explained Kabuto. The person who had attacked Kabuto said, you're a pushover, aren't you? Pretty sad for someone who's been an applicant for 4 years now. The person who threw the kunais claimed that the 3 auto applicants would all make Chunin this year, so it would be wise to include this in your cards. I am aware that Kabuto dodged that blow, but what became of him? What caused him to throw up? Sasuke pondered. Lee's team was scattered throughout the crowd, attempting to make sense of what had just transpired. The white-eyed boy, who must be Neji, asked, Lee, what did that look like to you? There was a big puff of smoke at the front of the classroom as Lee said. Kabuto-san saw through the attack, so there must have been something else to it, some trick they used to make him sick. A voice from the smoke said, would everybody please just shut up? The first exam proctors appeared as the smoke dissipated. One of the proctors, who had multiple scars on his face and wore a black jacket over his Jonin vest and his Konoha Hite ate like a bandana, said, I apologize for keeping you waiting. My name is Morino Ibiki. I'm the proctor and chief examiner for the first part of the exam. Having previously met the man, Shu thought, Ibiki-san. As scary as ever I see. Ibiki gestured toward the trio of Otto Nins. You, the kids from Otto. You can't carry on any way you please when the exam's about to start, or do you want to be disqualified? Ibiki responded. The Otto Nin who had previously attacked Kabuto apologized, saying, sorry, sir, it's our first exam, and we got a little carried away. Is that so? Then it's high time that someone laid down a few ground rules. From this point forward, there will be no more fighting without the express permission of the examining officer, and even if that permission is granted, anything that dangers another applicant's life is strictly forbidden. Any of you little piglets who break that rule are out. Disqualified. No second chances. Got that? Ibiki replied. One Otto Nin said, so this is a test for little girly men? As you wish. The first part of the selection exam is about to commence. Turn in your written applications. Take one of these seating assignment cards, Ibiki said as he raised a card with a number. 1. on it, and report directly to the seat indicated. When everyone's seated, we'll pass on the written part of the test." Naruto screamed, "Huh? A paper test?" And Shu approached him, giving him a tiny blue crystal. "Huh? What's this?" he asked. Before going to retrieve a seating assignment card, Shu muttered, "A dragon scale. They've got many unique qualities. If you hold this one over a question, it'll reveal the answer." Before everyone sat down, they were given seating assignment cards and papers. Each paper had 10 questions, or more accurately, 9 questions, with the 10th question being given to them in the final 15 minutes of the test. Everybody had 10 points at the beginning, and they would lose points for missing any questions. If a team member missed every question, the team as a whole would be eliminated. Additionally, a person and their entire team would be eliminated if they were found to have cheated 5 times. Ibiki said, "You have an hour, starting now," and the test began. Say that it isn't so. This might not be a win. Lose scenario. Please, Naruto, keep at least one of your points. Not knowing what Shu had given the blonde, Sakura pondered. As Naruto examined the dragon scale, he thought, "Hey, this thing actually works." It appeared that the portion of the question beneath it had changed to the answer, so he wrote it in the answer box next to the question. Sasuke, who was most likely the only one who witnessed Shu giving Naruto the strange crystal, thought, "I hope whatever it is that Shu gave him is working." Whoa. Cryptography comes first. They want us to put in a lot of work, he pondered. Before Sakura looked down at the paper, she thought, "I wonder how Naruto's doing. But I have to focus on my own work. To make up for him, I must hold on to every point I made." The second one is this. The parabola marked B represents the greatest effective distance the enemy shinobi, A, could throw a shuriken from the top of a 23.3.foot tall tree. Calculate the specific features of the scenario and deduce the range of the shuriken's effectiveness, assuming a consistent speed for shinobi A's assault upon any enemy shinobi operating within the arc that the flight of the shuriken describes. Show your work. To solve this, you must make a very speculative hypothesis under highly uncertain circumstances, and then apply the laws of kinetics to whatever you come up with. Naruto is incapable of solving such a problem, of course. The majority of people here are unable to. It's a killer. Of course, I can respond to that. Well, I have no idea how to respond to any of these inquiries. What is the significance of number 10? Before turning to face a few of the proctors seated by the windows, Sasuke reflected, "They're watching us like cats watch mice. As if they anticipate our infidelity. Those rodents. Since there are so many proctors watching us, they are most likely keeping an eye on everything we do and noting our actions in their gradebooks." Sasuke noticed that one of the proctors had begun writing. The axe has fallen somewhere. At that very moment. Then he partially recalled Ibiki's words. If you let the proctors catch you cheating, you'll bring yourself and your friends down. If you aspire to become Chunin, if you want to be the best shinobi you can be, then you'd better start acting like you already are. Hold on, it's unbelievable. This isn't just an academic intelligence test. They're also putting our ability to gather information to the test. Like shinobi, they want us to cheat, without being discovered. Shinobi have to look beneath the surface. The proctors want us to be very good at cheating. If the greatest shinobi ever needed this kind of information for a real life mission, this is how they would do it. The way they framed the perfect score, minus penalties scenario is amazing. The true message is that you can be caught cheating up to 4 times before you are disqualified, as you will lose 2 points each time. We are being tested on our ability to find the answers, not on whether we already know them. Sasuke pondered. Sitting atop his master's head, Kiba's dog Akamaru scouted out the answers and relayed them to Kiba. Kiba whispered to the little mutt, "Woo.Who, good boy, Akamaru, next is question number 4. Excellent. Tell me more." The stoic boy whispered as he picked up the bee that had landed on Shino's paper on his finger. The bee then began flying in a number 8 pattern. Number 8, huh? Tenten, Lee's female teammate, had previously installed a number of mirrors at one of the light bulbs in the ceiling. She made a small adjustment to one of them using almost imperceptible threads so that it displayed the reflection of one of the papers. As if reading her mind, he removed the Hite.8 and tied it around his forehead. Lee, if you can see it, adjust your Hite.8, she thought. Looking through a dragon scale he had made for himself, Shu thought, I'm glad Chan taught me how to read. Veins had appeared all around Neji's eyes when he opened them after closing them. Byakugan. As he thought this, he looked directly at the man in front of him. That's the one. I'm going to imitate everything he does. Making use of the Sharingan, Sasuke activated his eyes and thought. Even though I can't make dragon scales like Shu, I can still accomplish this. When Jiro's eyes opened again, he saw what appeared to be the Sharingan, but instead of red eyes and 3 black tormos, there were green eyes and 3 red tormos. Next, Jiro surveyed the man before him. That's it. I have all the answers. Unaware that this is what Ino's bean is waiting for, Sakura thought. There's nothing left for me to do but wait for the 10th question. Sakura appears to have finally given up writing. It's time for me to strike. Sakura, you should feel honored to be the object of my signature technique because your large brain and wide brow have earned my respect. Well, here it comes. Ino thought as her mind entered Sakura and her body sagged over the desk. I'm afraid not, Sakura. You're a sweetheart, Sakura, allowing me to have you like this and view all of your responses. Have to memorize this quickly, before someone catches me, Ino thought as she picked up Sakura's paper and began reading through the answers. I will then write these responses on Shikamaru and Choji's papers after I have them. I'm a clever little person. It's time for me to disappear. As she became invisible, Bouquet reflected that she would have to give Rada.san credit for creating some clothing that turned invisible whenever she did so. Wow, those Ryu Nins never cease to amaze me, Ibiki pondered. I wonder what they'll come up with next. He was likely the only one who had observed Bouquet's small disappearance. He was one of the few people in the world who truly understood the source of Ryu.nin power, having met them multiple times. Then he turned to face Gaara and said, that Brad is up to something. He's doing it without flinching. Completely composed in the face of this hurricane, whatever it is. He's fantastic for an amateur. Gaara was collecting sand in an eye-like pattern in his left hand. My third eye is opening now that my optic nerve has been reconnected, before crushing the eye and scattering the sand all over the room, Gaara pondered. Kankuro got up and said, pardon me, what is it? A proctor inquired. One of the proctors approached Kankuro and placed handcuffs on him after he said, I have to go to the bathroom. The proctor replied, of course. One of the proctors will accompany you. Why not? Asked Kankuro. Men's restroom, Ninja Academy. The skin around the proctor's left eye fell off, and Kankuro sighed, saying, now then, give me all the answers in order, starting with number 1. They think they're so slick. And they never even noticed that there's been one extra proctor this whole time. Pretty sad. Nice going, Crow. 301 Ninja Academy. After eliminating the most inconsiderate individuals, let's proceed to the most crucial query. It's been 45 minutes. All right, here it comes. Get ready for the 10th question. Ibiki paused to reflect. The time has come. You had better get back quickly. Kankuro.ni.san, Tamari thought. They were supposed to give us the 10th question after I got your first 9 answers. Ibiki added, and before we get to the question itself, I'm adding one more new rule. However, Kankuro returned before he could finish. Hey, looks like you're in luck. The time you've spent playing with dolls hasn't been completely wasted, Ibiki replied. Dolls. Is he aware of the scarecrow? Kankuro thought as he made his way back to his seat, passing Tamari a note that contained all of the answers. Ibiki stated, let me explain. This rule is absolute. Jonin Lounge and Konoha in the Jonin Lounge, Kakashi, Yuhi Kurenai, the sensei of Team 8, and Sarutobi Asuma, the sensei of Team 10, were seated and conversing. Wow, with our subordinates tied up in exams, we've got time on our hands, Kakashi replied. Asuma sighed and said, don't worry, we'll be busy again before you know it. Why? Inquired Kakashi. A man sitting close to the 3 Jonin was drawn to Asuma's statement. Word is, this year's first chief examination officer is Morino Ibiki.san. In addition to his golden uniform bearing the emblem of a long, forgotten kingdom, he had long blonde hair, pointed ears, a scar over his left eye, and a golden Ryuhite.8 on his forehead. The man inquired, did you say Morino Ibiki? Asuma glanced at the man and said, you heard of him? Yeah, they say that there's no interrogator like him, the individual replied. You're right, he's a pro's pro at torture and interrogation. Konoha Enbu Torture and Interrogation Corps Unit Leader John and Commander Morino Ibiki. In the exam that is presently underway, while there may be no physical torture, there's no doubt that the applicants are being subjected to the psychological pressures that make him infamous as an interrogator, Asuma replied. Hey, Ibiki may be as good as you say, but he won't crack my team. They can take things 1,000 times worse than what Ibiki could throw at them, trust me, the man replied. 301 Ninja Academy. First, you must choose whether to accept or reject this 10th question, Ibiki replied. Reject or accept? What does he mean? Sasuke pondered. What do you mean choose? What the hell happens if someone doesn't accept the question? Tamari responded. If you reject the question and don't even try to answer it, you'll lose all your points immediately, and fail. And both of your teammates will fail right along with you, Ibiki stated. Say what? Shouted Bouquet. Asuna.Nin, who was sitting next to her, shouted, then why would anyone choose to reject it? Ibiki responded, because of the other rule. Oh, hurry up. Can he add anything else? Sakura pondered. If you try to answer the question, and you get it wrong, you will never be permitted to apply for the Chunin exams again. Not ever, Ibiki stated. While Akamaru barked and Ibiki began to laugh, Kiba yelled, you can't be serious. That's ridiculous. There are ninja here who've sat for the Chunin exams more than once already. We know there are. Just your rotten luck. I wasn't making the rules in past years. I am now. I've been up front with you. You can take a failing grade now, and try again later. Anyone who has doubts would be smart to reject the 10th question right now. Come back and reapply next year, and the year after that, Ibiki replied. What a no-win scenario. All team members fail for the year if even one of them refuses to answer the question. Anyone who accepts the question but is unable to respond will spend the rest of his life at Genin level, Sakura pondered. Several teams rejected the question over the course of the following few minutes after Ibiki said, ready. Then let's begin. Those who choose not to accept should raise their hands. Once their number has been confirmed, they will leave the room. Jonin Lounge and Konoha. That Ibiki.san understands the human heart completely. It's what makes him so terrible. He uses his insights mercilessly to manipulate his foes, bringing their human weaknesses to the surface, and using those weaknesses to make them crack. Trickery is no defense against his skills as an interrogator, Asuma continued. 301 Ninja Academy. Naruto abruptly lifted his hand and then slammed it back onto the desk. The rest of the genin in the room were encouraged to stay by his shout, never underestimate me, I don't quit, and I won't run, I'll accept your stupid question. Even if I risk becoming a genin for the rest of my life, I'll still become Hokage, even if I can only make it by pure stubbornness. I don't care, I'm not afraid of you. He never even considered us, however, Sasuke thought, he certainly does have guts. Shu thought, man, this is embarrassing. I'll ask you one last time. This is a decision that could affect the rest of your life. Quit now while still have the chance, Ibiki replied. Naruto declared, that's my nindo, I never break my word. There are still 81 of them. Well, what a fun child, and fascinating. He dispelled his own doubts and those of everyone else. It's more than I anticipated, but there's no use in prolonging it. Ibiki thought, thanks to him, no one else will quit. He then turned to face the other proctors, who all nodded in agreement. Wonderful decision. You've just passed the first exam, everyone who's still here, Ibiki said, and all of the genin who were still present readied themselves for what was about to happen. What does passed mean to you? The 10th question, what happened to it? Sakura inquired. Ibiki stated, there is no 10th question, beyond the whole, accept or reject, thing. Well, why did we have to endure the remaining 9 questions? Our time was completely wasted on that, Tamari shouted. No waste was present. Ibiki stated, those questions had a purpose, and that purpose has already been fulfilled. As in? Tamari inquired. We wanted to see how good you were at snooping. Ibiki uttered those words. He looks like a totally different person, Bouquet pondered before stating, our espionage abilities? Do you recall the initial rules? As a member of a 3-man team, you either succeed or fail. I put pressure on you with that rule because I thought that if you did something wrong, your teammates would follow you down. But the questions are more complex than genin could possibly handle, Since most of you came to the same conclusion, cheating was your only option for keeping your points. To put it another way, we assumed you would cheat when we set up the test. Additionally, we sneaked in 2 ringers. 2 Chunin who already knew all the answers, to make sure there would be appropriate targets for you to cheat on, Ibiki stated. It took me an eternity to identify them. A ninja behind Naruto uttered those words. Oh, I see. Me too, said a ninja behind him once more. As he removed his Hite.8 to reveal burn scars and puncture wounds all over the top of his head, Ibiki said, of course, anyone who cheated in a clumsy or obvious way, failed. He added, because there may be circumstances where being caught in an act of espionage can cost you more than just your life. When many lives are at stake, you repeatedly pay in ways that can be taken away from you gradually. He has been tortured, Sasuke thought, because of the burn scars, punctures from the screws, and long slash marks. One of the auto nins thought, cool, I bet his hands are even worse. But that's what he gets for being stupid enough to get captured. It'll never happen to me. If you can't hide your presence from the enemy, you can't trust the information you get. Study that, and study it thoroughly. You are assisting your adversaries and endangering the people you serve if you return intelligence from a dubious source or a compromised operation. For this reason, we tricked you into cheating by using your espionage abilities. Ibiki put his Hite.8 back on and explained that it was the fastest way to weed out students whose skills weren't yet up to par. All right, but why was the 10th question asked? Tamari inquired. Oh. The first actual test on the exam was the 10th question, Ibiki stated. What are you talking about? Sakura inquired. Let me clarify. The 10th question asked the student to choose between 2 risky and challenging options. Those who made the decision to reject were let down, as were their friends. The possibility of ever trying again was eliminated for those who decided to accept and were unable to respond to the question. It was a cruel, unjust, and win-lose set of choices. Why then do I show them? Assume that all of you managed to achieve the rank of Chunin. You are tasked with stealing a crucial enemy document, but you have no idea about your opponent's capabilities, deployment, or level of military readiness. Crossing an area that has been heavily mined and set with traps might be necessary. Do you agree to your mission now? Or do you turn it down instead of putting your life or the lives of your friends in danger? Is it possible for any Chunin to get away with only accepting safe jobs? Obviously not. There will be missions that you can't turn down, no matter how risky. A ninja needs to show courage that motivates people around him and helps them get over their fear. This is the quality that we look for most in a Chunin team commander. Those who are incapable of taking chances with their own destiny. Those who would exchange the certain risk of today for the uncertain future of tomorrow. Or weaklings who only make poor choices. They have absolutely no place among the Chunin, in my opinion. You correctly answered the nearly intractable 10th question by opting to accept. You can likely overcome all of the many uncertainties and challenges you will encounter if you maintain that mindset. The first obstacle has been overcome by you. The Chunin selection exam's first section is now over. I hope you put up a valiant fight, Ibiki clarified. Newly arrived Second Chief Examination Officer Mitarashi Anko was written on a banner that appeared to be in front of a woman when something suddenly crashed through the window and 4 kunais were embedded into the room's walls. She wore her Konoha Hite.8 on her forehead, wore a light brown jacket with a fishnet shirt underneath, and had her black hair pulled back in a ponytail. There is no reason for any of you to rejoice. Mitarashi Anko is the second examination officer. People, you're wasting your time. Come on, come with me, Anko shouted. Everyone was outside the fence enclosing Training Field 44, commonly referred to as the Forest of Death. Training Field 44 is the location for the second exam. The Forest of Death is another name for it, Anko declared. Sakura remarked, it looks like a pretty creepy place. You're going to discover for yourself why this place is known as the Forest of Death, Anko declared. The Death Forest? What sort of name is it? Really, Jiro, it doesn't appear that frightening, Shu said, glancing at Jiro. Oh, really? You seem quite arrogant, don't you? Anko said this before hurling the kunai she had been concealing in her sleeve at the boy. To everyone's surprise, Shu's arm was outstretched, and the kunai simply bounced off his open palm as if it were composed of steel. How is it possible that he just used his palm as a shield to deflect a kunai? Sasuke asked himself. Wow, it looks like you might have a chance in the forest. Anko pulled out a stack of paper forms and said, now, before we start the second exam, there's something I have to hand out. They're consent forms. Everyone is required to sign one. However, why? Did Bouquet ask. We want every detail resolved before the first fatalities happen. To avoid liability, sign before entering. I'm sure you wouldn't want me to get into trouble. I'll start by outlining the contents of the second exam. After that, you can sign the documents. Before she explained the exam, Anko said, bring the forms to the hut behind you with the other 2 members of your team and turn them in. This time, the test was primarily a survival test. Each team was given a scroll representing either heaven or earth, and they had to forcibly take the opposing scroll from one of the other teams and carry both scrolls to the tower in the middle of the forest without inspecting their contents. They also had to avoid all of the enormous carnivorous animals that were present throughout the forest, and they had 5 days to complete the task. One last piece of advice. Don't die. Following the explanation and the signing of the forms by each applicant, Anko said. Before drawing a curtain, a Chunin shouted from the hut, it's almost time to distribute the scrolls. As he glanced down at his consent form, Sasuke thought, smart. To keep us in the dark, they're concealing which type of scroll each team gets, and which member is carrying it. It's just like that guy Ibiki said, stealing intelligence is a matter of life and death. Everyone is an enemy, and we're probably all equally determined. If we're all willing to fight to the death, this could become a massacre. Alright, everyone, follow your proctors to your respective gates, Anko thought, heh, it's finally beginning to sink in. Why we want those consent forms. The exam will start when the signal sounds in 30 minutes. After that, the various teams were led to various gates throughout the forest. Gate 16 of the Forest of Death Team 8 is waiting for the exam to start at Gate 16. Hooray! We have what they need if they want survival skills. Hinata, don't be so kind to us. Hinata looked down at the ground anxiously as Kiba spoke. Gate 27 of the Forest of Death Team 10 is at Gate 27. A battle to the end. Shikamaru remarked, what a drag, but if it's the only way, before considering, looks like Naruto is our target. Gate 12 of the Forest of Death Team 7 is at Gate 12. Yes. I assure you, we cannot lose. If someone approaches us, I'll kill them myself. Naruto uttered those words. Oh, please, Sakura pondered. Gate 20 of the Forest of Death. Gate 20 is where the 3 Auto Nins are located. The one who was clearly the leader of the 3 thought, heh. The time has finally come, to carry out our orders in the open. Gate 38 of the Forest of Death Kabuto and his teammates are waiting at Gate 38. Gate 6 of the Forest of Death Gaara's team is at Gate 6. Kankuro thought, I have to watch out for enemy teams, but spending 5 days in the forest with that eerie Gaara makes me sour. Gate 15 of the Forest of Death 3 Kusa. Nins were at Gate 15. One of them said, start with the rookies. It looks like we've got carte blanche to pick them off from here on, in which should make our job a lot easier. Someone else commented. Gate 41 of the Forest of Death last year's rookie team 1 was at Gate 44. I'll try my hardest, guy. Sensei, Lee thought. Gate 7 of the Forest of Death Shu's team is at Gate 7. The fact that some of the 7 Soldiers of Light were assigned to Gate 7 strikes you as ironic, don't you think? Bouquet murmured. I propose that we divide up, with one of us looking for the Earth Scroll and the other keeping watch over Naruto's team. Ignoring Bouquet's query, Shu said. How is the third one doing? Did Bouquet ask. Suna gave me a bad feeling about those 3, so I want the third person to watch them, Shut said. Shu, I suggest that you go and watch over Naruto's team. I'll take care of finding the other scroll, and Bouquet should be the one to follow the Suna. Nins due to her special ability. Jiro responded. Jiro, no, Shu said. You'll take care of Naruto's team, and I'll look for the scroll. But Shu, he's your descendant, you should be the one to watch over him, Jiro replied. You know, he also has one of your descendants on his team, Shut said. Sasuke hasn't even unlocked his shadow yet, perhaps. Jiro uttered those words. I'll put it in writing, Shu said, and his eyes began to light up blue. Jiro bowed to his superior and said, very well, Shu. Although they were both members of the Seven Soldiers of Light, Shu was still a member of the Council of Seven, which consisted of the 7 most powerful dragons and leaders of the City of Light, though there were currently only 6 of them. As soon as Anko shouted, Part 2 of the Chunin exam begins. Now, the gates opened. Gate 15 of the Forest of Death. After deciding which team to attack, the 3 Kusa Nins burst through the open gate. You mean those 3? One of them inquired. Go for the brats, one more person said. Gate 12 of the Forest of Death. All right, come on. As they entered the gate, Naruto shouted. Gate 7 of the Forest of Death. All right, Bouquet. Chan, you follow the Suna team. Jiro, you go take care of Naruto's team. They fled in 3 different directions after Shu said this. Team 8 in the Forest of Death. 3 black body clad shinobi were leaping through the trees when they heard a sound and paused to gaze down at Team 8, who were standing on the ground beneath them. Before Akamaru detected the scent of the 3 ninja hiding above them, Kiba remarked, the tower is where everyone is ultimately going, so we might as well set up traps as close to there as possible. Found them already, huh? They're where? They might as well be yelling, capture us, because they are such dumb children, one of the unidentified ninjas said. From the sound of things, they know we're somewhere nearby, but they haven't figured out where yet. Just before he felt something touch his neck. What's the matter? Before noticing a leech on the man's neck, one of his partners remarked, you're as white as a sheet. The 3 of them looked up to see several more leeches descending, but they were unsuccessful and fell to the ground. Konoha village's flying leeches can detect body heat and sweat and launch themselves in large numbers. You're done if you can't remove them from your body in 5 minutes. And you lose if you panic while attempting to flee from them. As one of the 3 enemy ninjas set off a booby trap that Team 8 had previously set up, the 3 were trapped in a net, hanging from a tree with the flying leeches, and they screamed, Kiba said. Beyond the gates, in the Forest of Death gazing at the forest, Anko remarked, well, that was fast. Team 7, Forest of Death, have any of you heard someone scream? This place is creeping me out, Sakura said, turning to face her teammates after glancing in the direction of the scream's origin. Before feeling the need to use the restroom, Naruto said, I'm telling you, Sakura-chan, it's big deal. I gotta take a leak, and fled in search of some bushes. Oh, dude. What a relief. I'm feeling good, now, Naruto declared upon his return. A lady is in your presence. Sakura started to say, don't be vul, but Sasuke interrupted him by punching Naruto, sending him flying into a tree. Before turning to face the Uchiha, the Pinkette thought, what the s? Sasuke-kun. I appreciate the chivalry, but that was way over the top. What was the purpose of that? Naruto inquired. How did you harm Naruto? Sasuke inquired. Well, Nani? Sakura inquired, unsure of the topic her crush was discussing. Hi there, I'm bleeding right in front of you, Naruto said. On your left thigh, you have your shuriken holster on. Naruto has the right hand. Sasuke said, you're even worse at henge than the real Naruto. This was just before Naruto was swallowed up in a cloud of smoke, revealing that he was actually an aim.nin disguise. Why don't you come clean and do the same since you made me do it? Out of the 2 of you, who has the scroll? As Sakura and Sasuke prepared to fight, the aim.nin uttered those words, but the real Naruto suddenly showed up and punched the aim.nin away. Why don't you ambush me while I'm taking a nap? He uttered those words. You. How did you escape? The aim.nin inquired, and Naruto recalled the moments just after he had been restrained. Rewind, what happened? Huh? Naruto asked as he woke up before he noticed his predicament. Hello. What's tying me up like this? I must have been ambushed by someone, but that implies that. Oh no, before they attack Sakura. Chan and the Teme. I must escape these ropes. Naruto squirmed around before he had the thought, wait a minute. He then looked around to see if anyone else was there and said, okay, looks like the coast is clear. A blue aura then surrounded his body before his shadow emerged from the ground and took on the form of a dragon. Really? You're calling me in for this? When Blue Dragon saw the blonde's situation, he inquired. Look, will you just lend me a hand here? The shadow sighed in response to Naruto's shout. All right. Before he just used one of his claws to cut through the ropes, Blue Dragon remarked, but the next time you're bringing me out, it better be for fighting. The end of the flashback in response to the AIM. Nin's inquiry, Naruto said, I'm not telling. The AIM. Nin then tried to flee, believing that the odds were against him, but Sasuke, using a series of hand signals, would have none of it. Kaiten. Jutsu no Housenka. As he launched multiple fireballs at the AIM. Nin, who escaped all of them before plunging into the trees, the Uchiha yelled. Oh no. No way are you going to escape me. In addition to teaching him how to control Blue Dragon, Shu had also taught him a few jutsus, and Naruto shouted as he wove in a series of hand signs himself. Sasuke pondered, Nani? Since when has the Dobi possessed any other ninjutsu besides Kage Bunshin? Kamikaze no Jutsu, Futon. When Naruto yelled, a gust of wind was directed directly at the AIM. Nin. Since wind cannot be seen, the AIM. Nin was unable to avoid it and sustained multiple deep cuts across his back. Then, holding a kunai, Sasuke materialized in front of the AIM. Nin and stabbed them. Sasuke, uttered Sakura. He left me with no options, now get moving. His friend's whereabouts are unknown to us. Have you got that? If you continue to stand there, you will die. Before removing the kunai from the AIM. Nin, Sasuke shouted. The AIM. Nin reflected, then leapt away as quickly as he could, saying, My arm? This is awful. I thought coming alone would help conceal my presence, instead, it's been my ruin. As he hit the ground, Sasuke thought, gone. The three were sitting on the ground shortly after, discussing how to determine whether one of them was a fraud the next time they were split up. Keep this in mind. We cannot blindly trust one another if we are separated once more. It might turn out this way, Sasuke remarked. What can we do, though? Sakura inquired. Having a secret password is the safest course of action. We'll be aware in this manner. Regardless of their appearance or voice, if one of us misinterprets them, they are an enemy. Pay close attention. Sasuke said, I'll only say this once, but none of them seemed to notice that an enemy ninja was listening in underground. Ninki is the title of the poem. We thrive in chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait until the enemy lowers the gate. Sasuke said in response to my request. Sakura indicated that she had committed the game to memory by saying, Bingo. How do you think I'll remember that? Naruto inquired. What a dobi you are. Sakura remarked, I already have it down. Very good. The person spying on them thought, time to pull back and regroup. Jiro was up in the trees, staring down at the three and their impending rival. Jiro wondered whether he was aware that someone was listening in on them. A stronger password is required. Would Blue Dragon work? Jiro grimaced inwardly as Naruto asked. How could you have thought of that? Sakura inquired, and Naruto began to scratch the back of his head while he chuckled uneasily. He said, heh, well, you see. Sasuke got up and said, I'll take the scroll. 3 Kusa. Nins were nearby when a huge gust of wind suddenly blew past them. Sasuke and Sakura were able to jump out of the way, but Naruto was flung backwards. You two, stay put. It might be enjoyable. I'll enter by myself, one of them declared. Death Forest, Bouquet, who had turned invisible the moment she entered the forest, was not concerned about being spotted as she jumped from tree to tree until she stopped on a branch and saw the Suna siblings battling 3 tough-looking AIM. Nins. Those Gakis from Sanagakure had the audacity to challenge us. How foolish, uttered one of the AIM. Nins, who was probably their leader. Then Bouquet saw that 3 rookie 9s from Konoha's current list were hiding in the bushes. She considered telling them to leave, but ultimately decided against it in the hopes that the Suna Nins wouldn't notice. Hey, isn't that, she thought. The AIM. Nin's leader said, get ready to meet your maker. Are you going to argue with us or fight us? Even if you impress them back in a megacure, we don't follow orders from fossils like you, Gaara remarked. Before turning to face his younger brother, Kankuro thought, I'm not sure if this group has the Earth or the Heaven Scroll. Perhaps someone else has already ambushed them. Now they have neither. Hey, Gaara. I believed we had made a deal to avoid conflict until we knew if someone possessed the necessary scroll. If we can't make money from an attack, there's no point. Only when there is something to gain should we engage in combat. I'd rather not hear it. I'm dead meat if you cross me. Gaara uttered those words. It's so creepy when he acts like this, Kankuro thought. I think it sounds good. Ready or not, I'm coming. The leader of the AIM. Nin said as he grabbed 4 of the parasols that were on his back and he threw them up into the air before making a hand sign. You're dead, kid. Ninpo. Senbon. Joro. Senbons suddenly shot down towards Gaara from all directions after being launched from the parasols, and Gaara did nothing to avoid them. Everything is around you. No blind spots, no gaps. My chakra will cause all 1.000 of these Senbons to swarm, searching for you like missiles that have locked onto your signature. That was almost too easy, the AIM. Nin's leader cried before all of the Senbons touched down, creating a cloud of dust from the force. But when the dust cloud dissipated, the AIM. Nin's eyes widened at what they saw. Gaara was completely covered in a shield of sand that shielded him from the jagged Senbons. Do you have anything else? Gaara inquired. It's impossible. Not a single Senbon touched him. The sand shield intervened to protect the sand user as the AIM. Nin's leader spoke before making a hand sign and several other Senbon flew at him. It was Kankuro's bad luck that he ended up facing him. A trick like that is useless against Gaara. 1,000 Senbons downpour. Huh? It is now my turn to reply with a lavish display of blood, Gaara said. Ah, a sand wall. The AIM. Nin's leader exclaimed, startled. Exactly. An unbreakable barrier that is infinitely flexible. The art has only ever been perfected by Gaara. He pulls the sand inside the circle of his own enormous chakra, then shapes it into the desired shape and makes it completely solid. Even more amazing is the fact that he does it without realizing it. Regardless of his desire, it occurs when he needs it to. Kankuro clarified, any frontal attack on Gaara is bound to fail. N.No, way, exclaimed one of the AIM.Nin. Even 5 millimeters of tampered steel should be penetrated by those Senbons. Kuso. The AIM. Nin's leader said. Kankuro remarked, you're not good enough to touch our Gaara. Stop talking, you. As he charged at the Suna. Nins. The AIM. Nin's leader yelled, but Gaara signaled with his hand. Before Gaara extended his right arm, Kankuro thought, okay, it's your funeral. Q Sabaku. The AIM.Nin was abruptly imprisoned inside a sand coffin when he yelled. The AIM.Nin uttered the words, I can't move, before his parasols dropped to the ground and Gaara collected one to hold above his head. As you see, Gaara has total mastery over the sand on the ground, and in the air as well, Tamari replied. Ow. I can get myself free easily. As he made an unsuccessful attempt to escape the sand, the AIM.Nin uttered those words. I'll seal your lips and stop your air if you don't stop yapping. Before lifting the sand coffin into the air and clenching his fist, Gaara remarked, but you're barely worth it. Sabaku Soso. Blood poured onto the battlefield as the sand coffin abruptly collapsed. It's painless and quick. To make sure of that, I exerted much more force than was necessary. The demon god is given ever greater power by the bitter, crimson tears that flow from lifeless eyes and mix with the endless sands, Gaara remarked. As he placed the scroll down, the shortest AIM.Nin spoke, here, take the scroll, please, just let us go. The 2 AIM.Nins that were left were wrapped in sand coffins after Gaara tossed the parasol aside and raised both of his arms. Before Gaara clenched his fists and both coffins collapsed, Tamari waved, good-bye, to the 2 and said, bye. Before noticing that Gaara appeared to have his sights set on the 3 Konoha. Nins, Bouquet thought, that guy. Ichi's a monster. Oh, no, I need to do something, she said. After all of his siblings begged him not to, Gaara sent a wave of sand in the direction of Team 8, but it was blocked just before it reached the bushes by something that fell in front of it. The eyes of Gaara, Kankuro, and Tamari widened as the sand spread apart to reveal Bouquet, who had held out her right arm as though to protect herself from the sand. You should leave innocent bystanders out of your battles. And who do you think you are? Kankuro inquired. I'm Ra Bouquet of Ryubikure, and I suggest that you retreat before I'm forced to get serious, Bouquet responded. Tamari pondered, she must have a death wish. Gaara turned away from the girl and walked away, saying, Kankuro, Tamari, we're leaving. Gaara. This was the first time Gaara had ever declined a fight or spared the life of someone who gave him a bad look, so Kankuro inquired, wondering if his brother was ill. For his part, Gaara was unsure of what it was about the girl, but something about her and her teammates scared him. Also, his tenant seemed uneasy around anyone from this Ryu village, and that guy, Kabuto, had no information about them at all, which was unusual for someone who took pride in his ability to gather intelligence. Team 7. Forest of Death. Sasuke was hiding in the bushes, trying to locate the people who had attacked them, but he was unable to do so. Kun Sasuke. After that, he stood up and turned to face Sakura. He drew a kunai and said, "Sakura, remain back. Stay away. What is the password?" "The Ninki." "Oh. Correct. We thrive in the chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait until the enemy lowers the gate." Before Naruto appeared, Sasuke said, "Good, wow, are you guys okay?" Did he ask? "Naruto, don't go so quickly. What's the password?" Sasuke said. "All right. Ninki." Sakura sighed in relief as Naruto stated, "We thrive in the chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait until the enemy lowers the gate." However, Sasuke then hurled a kunai at the blonde. "Hey!" As he ducked the projectile, Naruto shouted, "Nani?" Sakura asked herself before turning to face Sasuke. "Sasuke-kun, what are you doing?" Naruto correctly guessed the password. "And this time, he's good enough to deflect my attack," Sasuke replied. "Just a moment, please." Sakura said this just before a cloud of smoke abruptly engulfed Naruto. Before the cloud cleared to reveal a female Kusa.nin, a feminine voice said, "Well done. What gave me away? I was aware that you were listening in on all of our conversations underground. I chose that type of password because the real Naruto would never be able to remember it." "You're an imposter," Sasuke remarked. "I see. Well, watch and wait." As she took off her straw hat, the Kusa.nin remarked, "This is going to be more fun than I thought." Naruto's Forest of Death. Naruto was lying at the base of a tree when he awoke, appearing to have been unconscious, and he got up fast. Where are Sasuke, Teme and Sakura Chan now? He asked himself before noticing a large shadow looming over him, and he looked up to see a gigantic snake, enormous. The snake swung his tail, but Naruto was able to avoid it. I've never seen a snake that big. What is up with this forest?" he thought. Then, as he called forth Blue Dragon, the blonde was enveloped in a blue aura. "Really? You call me to help you untangle some ropes first, and then this?" Blue Dragon inquired. "Will you please stop talking and just assist me in defeating this?" Naruto uttered those words. "HMPH. All right," Blue Dragon said. As the snake charged at him once more, Naruto thought, "Now that I think about it, this might be the perfect time to test out those techniques that Shu-san taught me." He then dodged the snake's tail. Blade of Wind. When he yelled, a blade of wind encased Blue Dragon's right hand and was then brought down on the snake, severing it in two. Team 7. Forest of Death. Before reflecting, Sakura said, "That was another phony Naruto. Had he been the real one, he would have said something along the lines of, 'What's that stupid password again?'" The Kusa.nin held out her scroll and then ate it whole, saying, "I suppose you'd like to steal our Earth scroll, wouldn't you, since you've already got a Heaven scroll? Now, shall we see just who will be stealing scrolls from whom? We'll fight to the death." At that moment, she pulled slightly at her lower eyelid with one of her fingers, and Sakura and Sasuke saw their own deaths at her hands before collapsing to their knees. A genjutsu is being cast by her. Before he puked, Sasuke thought, "It's not death. Just an amazing simulation. She made me feel it and believe it when I looked into her eyes. What the devil is she?" Sakura. He turned to face his female teammate, who was utterly immobilized. "Kuso, we're done if we don't flee right away. Death is the only alternative." The Kusa.nin remarked, "Hey, I imagine you're paralyzed by now." A green aura suddenly encircled Sasuke's body as he activated his Sharingan and jumped towards Sakura. "Not quite, I can move. Just enough," Sasuke thought as he succeeded in drawing a kunai before the Kusa.nin threw a pair of her own kunai towards the two. The Kusa.nin approached the spot where the two Konoha Nins had just been to observe a tiny pool of blood where Sasuke was standing after the two kunai struck a tree's bark. Fantastic. In order to concentrate on the pain and suppress illusion and fear, the boy stabbed himself. There's a lot more to this one than the typical prey, she thought, as I had anticipated. Shoo, Forest of Death, a short while ago 3 Taki. Nin suddenly materialized around Shu as he sat in the center of a clearing, apparently meditating. Kurama no Kyubi. Yes, I am aware that meditation is not Shu's style, but keep in mind that people can change significantly in the 4,000 years since the events of the Blue Dragon anime. One of the Taki. Nins looked down at Shu and said, well, look at what we have here. You shouldn't be sitting around in a place like this all by yourself, he said. Thinking it would be an easy victory, the 3 Taki. Nins grinned and drew their kunais before charging at the boy who appeared to be younger. But then Shu opened his eyes slowly, and a strong wind blew in all directions, knocking the Taki. Nins through the trees as well as into them. However, their earth scroll somehow slipped past them and ended up in Shu's hands. He placed the scroll in his weapons pouch and said, ah, just what the doctor ordered. The voice said, Shu.kun. Shu turned to see Bouquet emerge from the trees. Bouquet? What are you doing here? I thought I sent you to follow the Suna team. Shu responded. I did, but I discovered something about that Gaara guy, Bouquet replied. Like what? Inquired Shu. Well, you see, she was interrupted in the middle of her statement, but she and Shu both felt a strong chakra and immediately turned to it. Before turning to face his teammate, Shu exclaimed, that's way too strong for a genin. Oh no, Sasuke.san and Sakura.san are in trouble. Bouquet, we have to hurry. Bouquet exclaimed, right, as they leapt into the trees. Team 7, Forest of Death right now. Sakura and Sasuke were high in the trees, praying the Kusa.nin wouldn't discover them. Speak to me, Sass, Sakura began, but Sasuke covered her mouth with his hand. We must act quickly or she will discover us once more. We need to figure out how to avoid her. How do we run? The Uchiha thought, Before Sakura saw a big snake descend and gaze at Sasuke, she thought, Sasuke.kun is so jumpy. I've never seen him like this. Then Sakura succeeded in taking Sasuke's hand off of him. She shouted, Sasuke.kun, snake, and then they both leapt in different directions. Before the snake hissed and the Uchiha nearly saw the Kusa.nin when he looked at the snake, Sasuke thought, whoa, my chakra is so out of whack, I overlooked a giant snake. He hurled multiple shuriken into the snake's head and yelled, "Yah! Get lost!" before the snake fell to the ground, dead. Abruptly, the Kusa.nin emerged from the snake's hide. Before slithering up the tree towards Sasuke like a snake, she said, "For shame, letting your guard down. Stay on your toes, like a good prey should. It makes the chase so much more rewarding, for the predatory." Suddenly, a number of shuriken and kunai came flying down and embedded themselves into the trunk directly in front of the Kusa.nin. They all looked up to see Naruto standing on a branch and saying, "I can't remember that stupid password. Sorry, Sasuke." Sakura exclaimed, "Sweet, Naruto, that was awesome. Naruto to the rescue. Huh? You're completely psyched to be saving the day, but now would be a good time to run for your life. This guy is way out of our league," Sasuke screamed. "Heh heh, my compliments on your stunning defeat of the giant snake, Naruto.kun. The Kusa.nin replied. "This guy is crazy. He's a man, but when I look at him, all I see is a snake. He's snaky in every way." Naruto thought, "I'll wager that snake was his. He's always made things worse when I've tried to save us." However, Sasuke reasoned that there must be a way too. "Hey, why don't you pick on someone your own size, or something like that," said Naruto. Before turning off his eyes, Sasuke thought, "This is all I can think of." "Oh," he said, but Sharingan stopped. Before Sasuke abruptly withdrew the scroll, Sakura pondered. "If it's our scroll you want, come and get it, just take it and go," Sasuke screamed. "Nani?" Naruto pondered. "Hold on a second. Why hadn't I noticed earlier?" After watching the entire event, Jiro thought this before leaping down and landing in front of Sasuke. When Sasuke recognized the Ryu.nin, he thought, "That's..." Jiro remarked, Sasuke, it's not the scroll he's after. As he, Naruto, and Sakura became perplexed, Sasuke questioned, what do you mean? Wait, Jiro looked at the Kusa.nin and said, what you see before you is only a disguise that he used to sneak into the exam. Isn't that right, Orochimaru? Sasuke's eyes widened. Orochimaru stood up and said, you Ryugakure shinobi are quite perceptive. He then took off his disguise to reveal a man with long, black hair, pale skin, and snake eyes. And not to mention, you have some interesting powers as well. Orochimaru was suddenly surrounded by a dark purple aura, and Jiro's eyes widened. Jiro yelled at everything except the first part, asking, That's how did you get that power? Orochimaru grinned and said, yes, I suppose you'd want to know, wouldn't you? Jiro, who was surrounded by a green aura, exclaimed, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, get as far away as you possibly can. Naruto screamed, not a chance, and jumped at Orochimaru. Sakura shouted, Naruto, Mateo, but it didn't help. When Naruto tried to punch the snake Sannin, Orochimaru just sidestepped it and kicked Naruto away. After landing on the branch, the blonde was enveloped in a blue aura and proceeded to make a series of hand signals. He yelled, Futon, Kamikaze no Jutsu, but Orochimaru appeared to be completely unaffected by the strong winds. Before noticing that Naruto's shadow began to take on a physical form, Orochimaru thought, I see, this boy must be part of the next generation of the 7 Soldiers of Light. I can't let his shadow form. After the Sannin kicked Naruto in the face and sent him flying, he made a series of hand gestures before tiny purple flames appeared on his fingertips as the blonde fell back down. Orochimaru's tongue popped out of his mouth and lifted Naruto's jacket like a snake's tongue as soon as he came back down, grabbing him by the neck. The seal on the Uzumaki's stomach then caused the Sannin's eyes to enlarge. Hey, the Kyuubi brat is still alive and well. Fuin Gogyo. Naruto's blue aura dimmed before he passed out and was thrown away by the Sannin, Orochimaru thought as he slammed his fingers onto the seal. But when he landed on the side of a tree, Jiro grabbed the blonde, and Sakura and Sasuke's eyes widened because they hadn't even seen him move. Then, as his pupils turned green with 3 red tomo in each, Jiro placed Naruto on a branch and turned to face Orochimaru. What is that? Sakura thought, it looks like the Sharingan, but it's different. Don't tell me about those eyes. Could he? Sasuke considered this since he had heard of a different version of the Sharingan, but only 2 individuals, Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Shisui, were said to have ever been able to unlock it. Kurama no Kyuubi. I understand that Sasuke is unaware of Madara at this point in the canon, but in this story, he is. In addition, you would think that, given that Madara was one of the village's founders, people would learn about him at the academy. Jiro exclaimed, come out, Minotaur, and then his shadow appeared out of nowhere, changing into a green Minotaur. What is that? Sakura pondered. Before Orochimaru's own shadow abruptly emerged from the earth and changed into a dark purple snake with arms, he remarked, a Minotaur shadow. I hear that's the 3rd most powerful form of shadows there are. Supposedly only dragon shadows and chimera shadows are stronger. Now let's see if your shadow can hold true to that, and beat my serpent shadow. Jiro and Minotaur narrowed their eyes and Jiro said, Orochimaru, tell me. How do you have a shadow? Only those connected by blood to one of the 7 Soldiers of Light, one way or another, can unlock a shadow without outside help. Kukakuku. Well, maybe I did get outside help, or maybe not. It was so long ago, I seem to have forgotten. Orochimaru replied. Then maybe this will jog your memory a little. Thundiga. Minotaur sent lightning bolts forward toward Orochimaru, and they appeared in between his horns. Orochimaru exclaimed, Shieldaga. As he held out his right arm to the thunder that was approaching and a shield materialized around him and his shadow. The Sannin and his shadow were surrounded by a cloud of dust as the shield was struck by the strong lightning. Jiro felt something suddenly, and as shadowy spikes of some sort appeared from where he had just been standing, he leapt off the branch he had been standing on. He thus employs shadowing techniques. However, even with that knowledge, Orochimaru could be a challenging opponent. Especially since Sakura and Sasuke are looking on, so I can't go all out. Orochimaru noticed that Jiro was thinking, I need to get them out of here, so that I can use my full power. He then glanced at the 2 out of the corner of his eye. You should always keep your eyes on your opponent. Shadowaga's sword, Serpent's right hand, which was engulfed in shadow, suddenly shot towards Jiro and the Minotaur. Lightaga's sword. Jiro exclaimed, and the Minotaur's right hand was filled with light before he leapt forward and collided with the serpent, causing a massive explosion of light and darkness as their swords collided. Kurama no Kyubi. When a sword of light and a sword of darkness collide, what do you expect? Then, while the explosion was still going on, Jiro made a number of hand signals before landing on the Tora sign. He exclaimed, Kaden. Gukaryuenden no Jutsu. Before releasing a number of enormous fire. Carved dragon heads in Orochimaru's direction. Before leaping to where Sasuke and Sakura were still standing, he recalled Minotaur into his shadow. He exclaimed, the two of you need to get out of here now, before he was struck in the back of the neck and lost consciousness. Orochimaru stood on a branch near Sasuke and said, I told you that you should keep an eye on your opponent, namely me. Well, then. Shall we continue? He asked. Sakura shouted, Sasuke. Kun, Naruto may be nothing like you, and sometimes he's a big nuisance, but at least he's got guts. Naruto's no coward. Right? Sasuke recalled his brother's words following the clan's murder. Ototo, you're pathetic. If you want to kill me, settle for hating me until you can. Hate me, and live. Live like the coward you are. Clinging to life, without honor. No, as he turned on his Sharingan, he thought. Orochimaru thought, heh heh. It seems like the blood of his ancestors is rising up in this one, demanding action. Sasuke.kun. Sakura pondered. You can show me all of your moves. We'll take our time, Orochimaru pondered. Sasuke then removed 5 kunais and what appeared to be a miniature Fuma Shuriken from his weapons pouch. He held the last kunai in his mouth, 4 of the kunais in his right hand, and the miniature Fuma Shuriken in his left. I've been harboring the desire to murder my older brother at some point. Maybe I've been the Dobi all this time, but I thought that was the most important thing. Sakura, Naruto. Because someone who can't even get up and do what needs to be done at a time like this, wouldn't stand a chance in a fight against him. Sasuke thought before he leapt into the air. The Uchiha grabbed the side of a tree as he threw the tiny Fuma Shuriken, but the snake Sanin avoided that as well. Next, Sasuke threw the kunais he was holding in his right hand, but Orochimaru avoided them all. Then, after coating the kunai in his mouth with chakra, Sasuke threw it at Orochimaru, but the snake just avoided it. Not bad, he sees me, as evidenced by the way he predicts every move I make and the precision of his targeting string. Orochimaru wondered before he saw that the shuriken and kunai had wires attached to them. The wire on the shuriken went back to Sasuke, causing the shuriken to move back in Orochimaru's direction. Orochimaru exclaimed, Asofushasen no Tachi, as the shuriken approached him. Sakura cried out, he did it, but she and Sasuke noticed that Orochimaru had actually caught the shuriken with his mouth. When Orochimaru saw that the Uchiha had made the Tora sign, he was interrupted, but he continued. He flawlessly perceived my escape route and struck along a path I didn't see myself, before adding, hey, such a shame, he means to use Kaden. Ryuka no Jutsu. Then, Sasuke sent a wave of fire toward Orochimaru along the wire, but Sakura and Sasuke's eyes widened when they saw that a shield had formed in front of the missing Nin, shielding him from the flames. That one so young should have such mastery of the Sharingan, truly a worthy successor of the honored name of Clan Uchiha. In fact, I believe, I want you, after all, Orochimaru replied. Sakura shouted, Sasuke. Kun. As she dashed to where Sasuke was standing. Then, as she turned to face Orochimaru, she discovered that she was immobile. It's marvelous fun, having you show me all your tricks. You really are his brother, aren't you? You can see, and conceal, things with those eyes of yours that Itachi-san himself never dreamed of, Orochimaru replied. Sasuke shouted, just who the heck are you? I'm Orochimaru, the giant snake. If you'd ever like a rematch, then pass this exam as quickly as you can, I'll see you again, if you manage to defeat the 3 Nins who answer to me, Orochimaru replied. WH. What are you babbling on about? We never want to see your face again, Sakura screamed. Orochimaru made a hand gesture and then abruptly extended his neck, lunging towards Sasuke and biting down on the said Uchiha's neck before retracting it. Perhaps not, but wishing won't chase me away. Once his neck had grown back to its natural length, the snake exclaimed, I look forward to seeing you again, Sasuke-kun, in the quest for power. Sasuke brought his hand over the area of his neck where Orochimaru had bitten him and exclaimed, WH. What, everything, hurts? 3 Black Tomo appeared out of nowhere. Then, as a green aura suddenly enveloped him, Sasuke collapsed to his knees. He screamed loudly, and his shadow abruptly emerged from the earth and changed into a green minotaur. What just happened to Sasuke-kun's shadow? Sakura inquired. Before Sakura turned to face him, Orochimaru remarked, a minotaur, so there's more to this boy than meets the eye, just as I thought. She screamed, what did you do to Sasuke-kun? Orochimaru started to sink into the branch and said, just a little something to remember me by. But Shu suddenly showed up and punched him into the side of a tree. Shu exclaimed, Orochimaru, I presume, as Bouquet landed beside him and a blue aura enveloped him. Another Ryu.nin, well sorry, but as much as I'd love to play around with you, I'm afraid I have to get going. Orochimaru replied. Oh no, you don't, Faraga. Shu's blue dragon suddenly arose and emitted a fierce burst of flames. Orochimaru exclaimed, that's not gonna work on me. Shieldega. Before a shield materialized in front of him. To his astonishment, the flames passed right through the shield, forcing the snake Sanin to leap aside and onto another branch. What? It wasn't even slowed down by my Shieldega? Shu said, it's over for you, Orochimaru. Then he cupped his hands at his side and exclaimed, blue explosion. A beam of blue flames then erupted from Blue Dragon's maw and went directly toward Orochimaru, appearing to strike him before a huge explosion ensued. Why you did it? Cried Sakura. Shu responded, no, he escaped, in the last second. At that moment, Sasuke screamed once more before losing consciousness as his shadow stabilized. Sasuke-kun! Exclaimed Sakura, Team Guy, Forest of Death. Tenten, Lee, and Neji were eating while seated in the forest. It'll probably start to get light in the next hour or so. We were able to use our first day to secure food and water. Most of the teams will be resting now, making this the best time to act. Let's split up, and reconnoiter for the next half hour. But whatever you find, when the time is up, be sure you're back here. Got it? Neji said as he set a kunai the ground with the pointed end first. Then Tenten said, okay, Lee exclaimed, Roger. Neji exclaimed, good, Akuzo. And they fled in 3 different directions. Team 7, Forest of Death. Naruto and Sasuke had been brought to the ground by Sakura and Team Shu, who then laid them down beneath a tree with its roots above ground. Soon after Jiro awoke, Team Shu departed and made their way to the tower, but not before using a dragon scale to seal Sasuke's curse mark. However, Sakura was unaware that the 3 nins were hiding in the bushes. Heh, there they are. We'll strike at dawn as Orochimaru-sama ordered, and our target is Uchiha Sasuke, exclaimed the 3's apparent leader. One of the other 2 questioned, if the other 2 get in our way, we can take him out, right? Of course, exclaimed the trio's leader. Sakura remained awake as dawn broke, hoping that Naruto and Sasuke would soon wake up. As she looked up and noticed some light coming down, she thought, I can't let myself sleep. Oh, has dawn arrived already? When she saw something coming up behind her, she took a kunai out of her pouch and slowly turned around, only to discover it was a squirrel. A squirrel? What are you up to, scaring me like that? She asked after giving it some thought. The squirrel then approached her, and she saw that it approached one of the traps she had set there too closely. The squirrel fled after she threw the kunai, which struck the ground just in front of it. That was pretty close. It was too near, Sakura pondered. One of the nins remarked, that's pretty tightly wound. I wonder if she noticed the explosive tag we stuck on the squirrel. No, that's not it, said the 3-person leader. Another said, what then, Dosu? What's going on? The 3's leader, now known as Dosu, remarked, we'll have to get closer to find out. So, what are we waiting for? Lee's Forest of Death through the forest. Lee leapt from branch to branch until he came to a halt at one of the branches after noticing 20 tree leaves falling. Sakura-san will adore me if I can catch all 20 of these leaves before any of them fall to the ground. However, my love for her will never be returned if I miss even one. She will also most likely tease me about my hair. After giving it some thought, he leapt down toward the leaves and began catching them one by one. As he reached for the final leaf, he thought, just one more try. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw something. He noticed a squirrel with an explosive tag attached to its back. Boom! With the squirrel in his left hand and the explosive tag in his right, Lee lay on the ground as the smoke cleared. As he crunched the tag, Lee remarked, just in the nick of time, an explosive tag, on a very short timer. Who would do something so cruel? Team 10 in the Forest of Death. Neji passed Shikamaru, Ino, and Shoji, who were concealed behind some bushes. Come out of hiding, unless you're a coward, Neji replied. Before turning to face the other two, Ino muttered, how'd he spot us when we hid so fast? My masterful plan A. Hiding until anyone who might hurt us is gone. Has failed. Time for plan B. Shikamaru muttered, what a drag, finding us like that, just before the trio emerged from the bush. Oh, what an honor. Hyuga Neji. Sama, last year's Rookie of the Year. Fancy meeting you here, Ino replied. Shikamaru exclaimed, wow, can I have your autograph? Neji began, oh, it's you three, before removing her hairstring and saying, I can't tell you how long, I've dreamt of meeting you. Ino thought, get a load of this. As he left, Neji said, get lost. Why? Why didn't he think I was attractive? What is the matter with him? I'm furious about it. As she furiously threw her fist in Neji's direction, Ino thought. I attempted to inform you that he would not pursue it, Shikamaru pondered. Hey, does that fist you're shaking in my direction mean you want to fight me? Neji responded. Before thinking, how could he know that, unless he does have eyes on the back of his head? Ino exclaimed, heh heh. Oh, of course not. Then get lost. I wouldn't demean myself by taking a scroll from losers like you. It would make me a laughing stock, Neji replied. Along with her teammates, Ino exclaimed, oh, okay, and leapt back into the bushes. Neji remarked, they're like cockroaches, and went on to walk. Let's go see if we can pick off some weaklings, Ino replied. Shikamaru pondered, I doubt we'll find anyone weaker than us. Team 7, Forest of Death. Sakura turned to face the three Otto. Nins after hearing a voice behind her say, heh, you've been up all night standing guard, eh? As of now, you're off duty. Just wake Sasuke for us. The three of us want to take him on, Dosu replied. What are you talking about? I know that some guy named Orochimaru is the one who's pulling all the strings, so what do you want? Sakura screamed, shocking the three Otto. What does this mark on Sasuke? Kun's neck mean? With Sasuke-kun in this condition, now you want to fight him? Get out of here, go? Sakura wondered what Dosu was talking about when he said, I wonder what Orochimaru Sama's up to. One of the other two Otto. Nins exclaimed, whatever, I can't walk away after hearing that. I'll destroy you, girl, and your little Sasuke-kun, too, for example. Wait, Zaku! Exclaimed Dosu. The Otto.Nin, now known as Zaku, questioned, wait? Why? Before Dosu stepped forward a few paces and knelt down. As he tore up the grass Sakura had spread, Dosu remarked, it's obvious, freshly turned stones, exposed soil. Grass in a place it would never grow, someone's been setting booby traps, but what's the point of laying them if you leave evidence that warns your prey? It's amateurish. So, the person who threw the kunai was trying to stop the squirrel from springing the trap? Replied Zaku. Before he and his two teammates leapt into the air, Dosu remarked, well, the girl is no use to us, so let's eliminate her first. However, they were unaware that they were walking directly into Sakura's trap when she smirked and cut a string with her kunai before a log abruptly swung down in the direction of the three. To be honest, you know you're a complete no talent, don't you? Stop dogging it and start working at it. It's an insult being underestimated by slackers like you, Dosu cried. A log? The trap was above us all along. Before placing his right hand on the log and exclaiming, very funny. Then, to Sakura's surprise, he made a one-handed hand sign with his left hand, and the log exploded up. Konoha Senpo. Rock Lee, who was the one who landed in front of Sakura, abruptly kicked the three Nin's back. Whoa, who's that guy? Sakura pondered. Look at who's talking. Try taking your own advice, Lee replied. Dosu said, Who are you? Konoha's handsome blue beast. Rock Lee, Lee replied. Sakura inquired, where did you come from? Before putting down the squirrel that had been on his shoulder, Lee remarked, I came. Because you needed me. And I always will, he thought. Actually, it's thanks to my little friend here. I don't know how to thank you. You're a lifesaver, said Sakura. When Lee said, I promised when we met, to protect you, until death do us part, Sakura recalled what Lee had said at their first meeting. I'll protect you with my life. Indeed, I get it, guy. Sensei, I understand, Lee pondered. Dosu remarked, they're as good as dead, as he prepared to strike. As Sakura began to draw a kunai from her weapons pouch, Lee thought, from the looks of it, Sakura-san doesn't have any more fight left in her, either. This unibrow child is clearly a taijutsu virtuoso. As he ran in the direction of the two Konoha Nins, Dosu thought, he'll make an excellent plaything. Sakura then hurled the kunai, but Dosu leapt to his feet and descended on Lee, who punched his right arm through the ground before Dosu blocked it by pulling up a tree's roots. This is some kind of illusion, right? So, I'd be wasting my time ducking as though your attacks were real. I've seen you use these moves before, Lee replied. He's so strong, Sakura pondered. However, they have the advantage because there are 3 of them and only 1 of me. Although it's a risk, if I tackle each one individually, my strength ought to be sufficient to defeat them, Lee pondered. Team 10 from the Forest of Death. Gah. How can we pick off the weak when we can't find any weaklings? Ino replied. Shikamaru remarked, well, besides Naruto's team, of course. Ino shouted, what are you talking about, you baka? What? Inquired Shikamaru. Naruto and Sakura are total losers, but they're teamed up with Sasuke-kun, the best of the best, Ino screamed. When Shikamaru saw the angry expression on Ino's face, he said, all right, sorry for dissing your idol. Now, why is that? Maybe your precious Sasuke-kun is better in theory than he is in practice. That girl is a total drag. Shikamaru said. She attacks me every time I say something about Sasuke. As Choji noticed something behind some bushes, Ino exclaimed, there's no way anyone here is going to beat Sasuke-kun. But Sakura? She's a complete wimp. Ino and Shikamaru turned to face Choji as he exclaimed, hey, Sasuke's unconscious, and Sakura's defending him. Team Guy, Forest of Death Tenten and Neji had returned to their meeting spot, but Lee was nowhere to be seen. It's not like Lee.san to keep us waiting, it's odd, he's usually such a stickler about punctuality. I wonder if he ran into trouble, Tenten replied. Not him. No way. But we should still look for him, Neji replied. Tenten exclaimed, right, before they walked away. Team 7, Forest of Death, Guy. Sensei, it's definitely time for me to stop holding back and use the forbidden move you taught me. As he removed the bandages from his arms, Lee thought, I'm protecting the life of someone who is very important to me. After that, he knelt down and vanished. Where did he go? Dosu pondered as Lee materialized beneath him, launching him skyward with a single, forceful kick to the jaw before leaping after him. As he approached the Nin from behind, Lee exclaimed, I'm not done with you yet. His bandages then unexpectedly encircled Dosu, and the 2 of them fell headfirst to the ground. Zaku made a series of hand signals and exclaimed, he's wide open, can't make a move to defend himself. Oh, crud. Lee yelled, take this, Omet Renge, just before they hit the floor. Then, at the last second, he leapt away, but as he hit the ground, he noticed that Dosu had somehow turned it into a pillow of dirt. Zaku exclaimed, phew, it appears that I made it, before removing his hands from the ground. Lee screamed, no way, as Dosu stood back up. As he prepared to strike, Dosu remarked, what a horrible technique. I managed to land on a pillow of soil, and it still nearly wiped me out. But now, it's my turn. Oh, this is bad. I just toasted myself with that last move. I have nothing. Just before Dosu rushed over to him and swung his right arm, Lee pondered. After narrowly avoiding it, Lee collapsed to his knees. Lee abruptly started throwing up after Dosu remarked, your moves may be fast, but ours are super sonic, and muscles alone can't break down this wall of sound. Lee-san, exclaimed Sakura. My left ear, Lee thought as he raised his hand to it in response to a sharp pain there. It's this appliance on my arm, you see? It prevents you from breaking my attacks, Dosu replied. Sakura inquired, what did you use on him? Heh, it's sound. Even if you block my fist, the sound waves reach you, Dosu replied. Sound? Lee pondered. Do you understand the fundamental nature of sound? Replied Dosu. Sakura pondered, vibrations, precisely. When you hear a sound, it's actually those vibrations displacing the air, which trembles against your eardrum. And the human eardrum, the tympanic membrane, ruptures when exposed to sound levels in excess of 150 fons. Moreover, if the sound is powerful enough to upset the semi-circular canals of the inner ear, it becomes impossible for you to maintain your balance. Heh, and it will be some time before your equilibrium returns. Dosu elaborated. So, you see, crude, old-fashioned taijutsu simply don't work against us. You did start out very well, though. It's rare for a foe to force me to reveal the nature of my techniques. But now the tide has turned against you. I can wield sound waves as a weapon, with enough force to crush entire boulders, and with a mere thought I can use sound waves to force air into the earth beneath me, transforming rock hard soil into the softest kind of cushion, a far more elegant and effective art than your crude application of brute force. Zaku continued. Lee recalled Guy's words to him after learning the Omet Renge and thought, blast him. The only time you may use this technique is to protect someone very dear to you. To protect someone dear to me, but even if you never employ it, I'm very proud of you for mastering this technique. Good work, Lee. Kuso, Lee pondered. Sakura was suddenly surrounded by a pink aura, and Dosu charged towards her, saying, and now, it's your turn. Lee exclaimed, blast, as he tried to intervene to save Sakura but was unable to do so. To everyone's surprise, Sakura's shadow rose up to form a pink phoenix as a shield appeared in front of her, blocking both Dosu's punch and the sound as he closed in on the girl, ready to give her the full force of the sound vibrations. Nani? As their eyes, Lee's and Team 10's widened, the three Nins thought in disbelief. What is that? Ino pondered. Everyone gaped at the sight in front of them. Somehow, Sakura's shadow had become a phoenix, rising out of the earth and taking on a physical form. Additionally, the phoenix somehow created a shield that stopped Dosu's blow. Still in shock, Zaku managed to ask, what is that thing? Sakura-san, Lee pondered. As Shikamaru recalled a time when he played shogi with his father, he thought. Rewind Nara Shikaku. Shikamaru's father moved one of his pieces and said, say, Shikamaru, what do you know of the shadow arts? Well, with the shadow arts, we can completely paralyze our opponent, and then either one of the Yamanaka clan can enter the opponent's mind, or one of the Akamichi clan can finish them off. Shikamaru responded with a grin on his face. As Shikamaru moved one of his pieces and defeated one of his father's knights, Shikaku remarked, true. But there is more to the shadow arts than most people know. What do you mean? Inquired Shikamaru. The ultimate form of shadow arts in which your shadow assumes a physical shape, usually in the form of some kind of animal that you have a connection to. Though in some cases, the shadow is in the form of a plant or even a human. Shikaku said while removing one of Shikamaru's items. Shikaku nodded in response to Shikamaru's question, my shadow can get a physical form? This isn't something unique to our clan, however. Everyone has the potential of mastering this art, though most people will need the help of an outside force in order to awaken it. There are a few exceptions, however. Shikaku continued. As Shikamaru moved one of his pieces, he inquired, exceptions? This art was originally created by the distant relatives of our clan in Ryugakure, Shikaku explained, moving one of his pieces before adding. There is a legend of 7 people called the 7 Soldiers of Light who can awaken their shadows through their own power alone. Shikamaru moved one of his pieces and explained, Ryugakure? I've never heard of a village by that name before. Before shifting one of his pieces and grinning, Shikaku remarked, not many people have. Checkmate. The end of the flashback, the 7 Soldiers of Light, could Sakura be one of them? Shikamaru pondered. Before attacking the shield, Dosu remarked, "Well, I see that there's more to you than meets the eye, but let's see just how long that shield will be able to last." Then, the shield disappeared, and Sakura fell to the ground before passing out. Lee shouted, "Sakura-san," as he tried, but failed, to get to his feet. "Running away sounds like a good plan. Those guys are getting creamed," Choji murmured. "It looks like Sasuke and Naruto are just unconscious, but the famous Lee's obviously had his butt kicked, and Sakura's all alone. What are you going to do, Ino?" Shikamaru murmured. Ino said, Why are you asking me?" Shikamaru whispered, "I mean, Sakura's in deep. We can't just leave her, can we? Wasn't she, like your best friend or something?" Ino was suddenly reminded of the first time she and Sakura had been rivals. Ino-chan? What's up, Sakura? I heard someone saying. Saying what? Saying that you like Sasuke-kun, too. What? If it's true, that makes us rivals. Why am I now recalling that? The heiress of Yamanaka pondered. Shikamaru said, "Hey, Ino. What's it gonna be?" Ino tried not to yell, but then thought, those guys would take me out in about 10 seconds flat. There's nothing we can do. If we blunder in now, we may just make things worse. I can't even beat them. Sakura's mental landscape opening her eyes. Sakura discovered that she was in a vast, seemingly endless field of cherry blossoms. She said, "Where am I?" When Sakura turned around, she saw a girl with brown hair in a ponytail and a big bang that hung down on the right side of her face, nearly hiding half of her right eye. "I've been waiting for you, Sakura." Her pointed ears were what caused Sakura to raise an eyebrow, even though she was wearing a pink blouse and a yellow belt around her waist. "Who are you?" inquired Sakura. The girl, who was now identified as Kluke, said, "I'm Haruno Kluke, your ancestor." "My ancestor?" Sakura questioned incredulously. Kluke responded, "That's right. I'm exactly 4012 years old." Sakura asked, her eyes bulging out of her head, 4,000? Kluke stated, "I know it's hard to believe, but it's true." Sakura said, "Okay, so where are we?" "This is your mindscape. It's kinda like a world that exists inside your head," said Kluke. Sakura said, "My mindscape?" And Kluke gave a nod. "Yes, but we don't have time to get off topic anymore," Kluke responded. Sakura questioned, "Off topic? Off topic of what?" "Sakura, you are one of the 7 soldiers of light who are destined to save this world," said Kluke. 7 soldiers of light? Save this world? I think you got the wrong person. I'm not cut out for something like that," Sakura responded. "Haruno Sakura, you must accept your destiny as one of the 7 soldiers of light," Kluke yelled, causing Sakura to take a look. "There are no mistake, you are one of the 7 soldiers of light. You wouldn't have been able to awaken your shadow through your own powers if you weren't." Sakura inquired, "My shadow?" And Kluke continued by describing shadows. In the external environment, the female Kin approached Sakura as Zaku moved toward the area where Naruto and Sasuke were unconscious. She stood over Sakura and began to draw a senbon, but she saw that something had grabbed her leg and looked down to see Lee's hand. This one proved to be more trouble than she was worth. "I say we kill her too. Don't you lay a finger on her. If you do, I'll never forgive you," Lee replied. Kin pulled out the senbon and thrust it downward towards Sakura, saying, "Well, isn't this sweet? Young love. Just too bad I'll have to take it away." Suddenly, though, she discovered that she was immobile. Zaku noticed that all of Kin's movements had stopped and said, "Hey, Kin. What's wrong?" The 3 Nins turned to face the voice and saw Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji standing there. Shikamaru was holding Choji by his scarf to prevent him from trying to flee. "Hey. Kagemain no Jutsu, success." The freak parade just goes on and on," Zaku replied. "More of these annoying little bugs from Konoha have crept in, and started swarming," Dosu replied. What are you guys thinking? Those creeps are too dangerous. They'll eat us alive." "Shikamaru, let go of me," Choji screamed. "Nope. No way. Sorry, buddy, but that's the way it is. We're the men here. We can't run away when Ino's ready to risk her life fighting. Not even if we die," Shikamaru replied. "Sorry I dragged you boys into this. But we are a three-man team, all for one and one for all, Ino replied. What's meant to happen will, I guess, Shikamaru exclaimed. Heh, we'll let you off the hook if you want to run, fatty, Zaku replied. What did that guy just say? I could have sworn he called me, Choji replied. If this guy says that word again, it's a big no. With Choji, Shikamaru pondered. You're welcome to run away, if you can find a hiding place that's big enough, fatso, said Zaku. I'm not fat. I'm just pleasingly plump. Choji screamed as he snapped, pleasingly plump people unite. Does everyone understand? Do you get me? Konoha and the Auto Ninja are at war? Good luck. Choji has gone crazy, Ino pondered. This is becoming a total drag, Shikamaru exclaimed, releasing Choji's scarf. Before considering, our orders were to find and kill Uchiha Sasuke under the cover of this exam, but, Zaku remarked, it certainly is. After Ino made a hand gesture, Shikamaru said, Ino, it's your turn. Ino exclaimed, way ahead of you. Shintenshin no Jutsu. Her body abruptly fell backwards, but Shikamaru caught it as he also let go of Kin, who now had Ino's mind inside her head. As she raised the senbon to her neck, Ino, Kin exclaimed, you're finished. If either of you makes a move, your teammate Kin is as good as dead. Both of you, leave your scrolls here, and go finish the exam without them. When I can no longer sense either of your chakras, I'll release Kin. She saw Zaku and Dosu laughing, but she couldn't understand why. Then, with his arm open palm facing Ino, Kin, Zaku sent a powerful blast of air in the direction of her, creating a strong sound wave. She was swept away by an orange blur just as she believed she was done, and before she knew it, she was lying on the ground with Naruto standing over her, staring at the auto. Nins. You all right, Ino? He inquired, keeping his gaze fixed on the adversaries. Ino, Kin exclaimed, clearly bewildered, and Naruto, since she had assumed her fellow blonde was unconscious. I woke up a few minutes ago, so I've got a pretty good idea of what's going on here. Now I suggest you return to your own body. Your strategy obviously isn't working here, Naruto replied. Before making the hand signal, Kai, Ino, Kin said, oh, right. At that moment, she awoke in her own body, and as Kin started to awaken as well, Naruto kicked her in the jaw with his heel, knocking her unconscious. Now, then. Shikamaru, why don't you and your team take on the guy with air? Vents for arms while I take on the mummy? Naruto replied. Shikamaru questioned, alright, but do you think you can handle him all by yourself? Naruto responded, yeah, no problem. Hey, you really think you can take me on all by yourself? Replied Dosu. You know, he does actually have a point there, Naruto. Not even Lee managed to beat him, Shikamaru replied. Naruto looked at his open palm and said, I know, and I hate to admit it, but I'm only the second strongest on my team. I'm no way near Sasuke's speed and strength, much less bushy brows. He then clenched his palm into a fist and held it out to the auto. Nins, saying, I've got something else, I've got the guts to never give up, Dadbeo. As he prepared to charge at the blonde, Dosu questioned, Hiya, you think mere guts are gonna help you here? Naruto exclaimed, and that's not all, I've also got this, as a blue aura enveloped him and Blue Dragon erupted out of the earth with a thunderous roar. Before Dosu charged at Naruto and was about to punch him, he thought, that might, though. However, both his shadow and the blonde vanished. Naruto stood crouching on Blue Dragon's back, far above the others, and remarked, phew. That was close. Kurama no Kyubi. How they can truly stand on their own shadows is still a mystery to me. Kid, I could have easily blocked that attack, ya know. So why did you have me dodge? Replied Blue Dragon. I know, but his attacks have more to them than what the naked eye can see, Naruto replied. Blue Dragon said, I see. So what's the plan then? I think a long-range battle would be to our advantage here, said Naruto. Before descending, Blue Dragon uttered the words, wind it is, then. Naruto then hurled a number of kunai at Dosu, who saw them and promptly deflected them with his right arm. What is he planning to do to me like that? Dosu pondered. When Naruto yelled, wind, Blue Dragon's mouth opened, releasing a strong gust of wind that sent Dosu flying into a tree. Then, as Naruto made a series of hand signals, Blue Dragon came to a stop just above the ground. He yelled, "Futon! Kamikaze no Jutsu!" and then unleashed a strong wind gust that sent the Auto.Nin flying through the tree. Naruto then cast a quick glance at Team 10 to check on them, and it appeared that they had already defeated Zaku. Yeah, that was fast. Before Naruto heard a sound and realized that Dosu was in his face, making a one-handed hand sign with his left hand, he thought, I can't believe Sakura, Chan and Bushi Brows had such trouble with these guys. He swung his arm and struck Naruto in the stomach before the blonde puffed away in a cloud of smoke, saying, "You really shouldn't turn away from your opponent." Nani? A Bunshin? Before the actual Naruto materialized behind him, Dosu pondered. It's over. Wind sword. Dosu barely had time to turn as the wind sword struck him, sending him skidding backwards and landing on one knee. Everyone who was still conscious looked up to a branch and saw Neji and Tenten standing there. I suggest you leave your scroll here and retreat. Neji uttered the words, "The kid with the hairdo belongs to us. You hurt him, so now you have to answer to us," just as veins appeared round his eyes. His gaze seems to be able to see through everything, Dosu pondered. "Stop while you still can, or we'll give you everything we've got," Neji replied. Dosu put down an earth scroll, stood up, and picked up his fallen teammates before heading out. Very well. Besides, if I can't even take down the second strongest of his team, there's no way I can take down Sasuke, here. After bringing Blue Dragon back into his shadow, Naruto moved in the direction of the scroll, picked it up, and faced Team 10. "Are you guys in need of an earth scroll?" he inquired. Shikamaru said, "Yeah, why? Do you already have one?" The three members of Team 10 all perspired and their eyes twitched as Naruto said, "Nope. I just thought that this might be your one chance of getting the scroll you need." "You don't need to add insult to injury, we already know we're weak," Shikamaru thought. Naruto threw the earth scroll to them, and Shikamaru caught it. "Well, if you need an earth scroll, here, catch." "But what about you guys? Don't you need that scroll too?" Ino responded. A vein appeared on Ino's forehead as Naruto remarked, "Nah. We're not weak like you guys, we can find another scroll, no problem." Ino tried to rush to Naruto and punch him in the ground, but Shikamaru and Choji stopped her. "Hey, who are you calling weak?" she cried. According to Shikamaru, "Calm down, Ino. Tower, Death Forest, Shu." At the moment, Shu was perched on the railings of a tiny balcony on the tower, holding his open palm across his lap. Over his palm, there appeared to be a dragon scale, but it was black rather than blue, and its design was also different. Shu nodded as a childlike voice asked, "Are you sure about this? From the scale?" "Positive. Bouquet reported it to me herself. Sabaku no Gaara have the ability to freely control sand. You know that there's only one person in the entire world that can do that," Shu responded. "But it doesn't make any sense. Villages are usually strict about keeping Jinchuriki within the village, so why would the Kazekage send Shukaku's host to Konoha for the Chunin exams?" the voice continued. "I don't know, but I'm going to look into the matter personally to find out," Shu replied. "And this had to happen right now when I was about to recall you too," the voice continued. Shu said, Why? We're not sure of what exactly is going on, but we've detected recent human activity with Michael's statue," the voice continued. Shu questioned, "What? Do you have any idea who it was?" "No, I was thinking of sending you to investigate, but you've got your hands full over there, so I'll have to send someone else instead," the voice replied. "Let me know when you found anything," Shu replied. Before the dragon scale abruptly turned blue and changed its design as it dropped into Shu's hand and vanished, the voice said, "Will do, Black Dragon out." Why would people be drawn to Michael's statue? That is, excluding archaeological uses. Shu jumped down from the railings and entered through a door, thinking, "I hope that's all it is. I'd hate to think what would happen if someone were to revive him." However, he was unaware that he had been being watched the entire time. So, Shu.kun, is that the way things are? One of the leaders of the Legion of Elite Species. And one of the strongest dragons is you. Additionally, Naruto.kun is your successor, and you are one of the former soldiers of light. Naruto.kun must therefore be your direct ancestor. Orochimaru thought, Kukukukukukukukuku. The man was spying on him. Team 7. Forest of Death. The three Konoha teams had divided up after the battle with the Auto Nins a few days prior. Sasuke and Sakura weren't particularly pleased that Naruto had given the Earth Scroll to Team 10 after they had woken up, but it was too late to change that now. 3 Narutos leapt into the water when there was a puff of smoke near a river. 3 fish were then flung into the air, and Sasuke threw 1 kunai at each of them, sticking them to a tree. Then Naruto reappeared, his clones already vanished. Go under and flail around again. 3 fish won't last as long. I want to preserve some for later. Let's do it 3 more times. Come on, Dobi, said Sasuke. This isn't exactly easy, Datbayo, so, let's swap jobs. You dive, said Naruto. Sasuke.kun. I've finished setting up the sticks and kindling. Could you please ignite it with your Gukakyo? Sakura called out. Sasuke replied, all right, 3 fish will do for now. Soon after, they were waiting for the fish to be grilled while seated around a campfire. Sasuke asked, the second exam started 4 days ago, right? Yeah, added Sakura. What about it? Inquired Naruto. And it began at around 2:30 p.m., so it will be over in less than 26 hours, said Sasuke. A lot of teams must have finished by now, which means, said Sakura. As he studied the scroll in his hand, Sasuke thought, people will be getting desperate. The 3 genin started eating as soon as the fish was ready, but Sakura couldn't stop thinking about something. I'm worried that, there might not be any more Earth Scrolls left, she replied. Sasuke said, what do you mean, Sakura? Well, the second exam is only due to last 5 days, and 4 days have already elapsed. That's 80% of the test time. There are 27 teams of 3 competing, and only 14 Heaven Scrolls and 13 Earth Scrolls. Since you need both scrolls to pass, a maximum of 13 teams will succeed. And for all we know, some of the scrolls might even have been destroyed. As soon as one type of either scroll is destroyed, one scroll of the other type automatically becomes useless, Sakura clarified. Before standing up and turning to leave, Sasuke remarked, I'm going to go get some water. We split up from the rest of the Konoha teams, and had to spend 2 days letting our wounds heal. We'll have to widen our search, to make up for the time and distance we've lost. The next enemy we meet, could be, our last chance. Ya no, if you guys just wait here, I can go beat up some guys and be back with an Earth Scroll before you know it, said Naruto. Yeah, right. Like you of all people could do that. Sakura replied. Kurama no Kyuubi. Neither Naruto nor Sasuke are aware of the Minotaur and Phoenix, nor are they aware of Blue Dragon. Naruto got up and walked toward the trees, saying, just wait and see, Sakura-chan. I'll bring back an Earth Scroll in no time. When Naruto and Sakura turned to face the voice, they saw Yakushi Kabuto. I hope you're not going to go scroll hunting like that. Sakura said, Kabuto-san. At that moment, Sasuke reappeared, and his eyes narrowed as he approached the silver-haired man after widening slightly upon seeing Kabuto. Kabuto turned to face the Uchiha, who said, your name is Kabuto, isn't it? What are you doing wandering around by yourself? Well, I wasn't after your scroll if that's what you're implying, Kabuto replied. Probably not, but you're still after the second scroll too, aren't you? Replied Sasuke. As he took both scrolls from his weapons pouch, Kabuto remarked, nope, I've already got a set. But I got separated from my team. I'm on my way to join up with them at the tower now. Nani? Sasuke thought, startled. After returning the scrolls to his pouch and turning to go, Kabuto said, see you around. Stopping Kabuto in his tracks, Sasuke exclaimed, wait, fight me. However, none of them were aware that an aim.nin was snooping on them from the bushes. Sweet, said the aim.nin. Fight you, inquired Kabuto. Sasuke.kun, exclaimed Sakura, startled. Kabuto questioned, are you joking? Sasuke remarked, I wish I were, but our time is almost up. Hey, Sasuke. I don't think we'll have to go that far, Naruto replied. I'm sorry, Sasuke.kun, but I think Naruto is right, Sakura responded. Shut up, exclaimed Sasuke. Sakura questioned, but, Sasuke.kun. There's no other way. I tried to warn you before. Challenging him is the only way we'll be out of the forest in time to pass this test, Sasuke replied. Kabuto declared, that's a lie. A lie? Inquired Naruto. You're more interested in making a big gesture than in reaching your goal, otherwise you wouldn't have run the risk of issuing that pretentious formal challenge. You put me on guard and assured yourself of a fair fight. If you were truly committed you would have just blindsided me. That's what being a ninja is all about. I don't think less of you for being that way. In fact, let me show you the path you should tread. But, let's move while we discuss it. The smoke from your fire and the aroma of those fish you roasted can be smelled for quite a distance. By now, every wild animal or enemy in the area must be moving in on us, said Kabuto. The Aim.Nin said, rats, and then walked away. Soon after, the four Konoha Nins began jumping through the forest in an attempt to reach the tower as soon as possible. Sasuke questioned, are there even enemies left this late? Lots of them. If you were more alert, you'd know it, too. It takes intelligence to win battles in territory like a jungle or forest, and do you know the intelligent thing to do? Replied Kabuto. As Naruto surmised, to head for the tower. Correct. We all share a common goal. The tower in the center of the forest. So the closer we get to the end of the exam, the more people will be carrying scrolls to the finish line, making the tower and its vicinity the likeliest place to find them. Kabuto clarified. Oh, you're talking about an ambush. We make our target someone who has captured both the heaven and earth scrolls and is taking them back to the tower, Sakura replied. Kabuto said, you're 1/3 right. Naruto questioned, what do you mean? First of all, you won't be the only ones who've figured that out, so there are going to be a lot of desperate characters setting snares for the unwary around that tower. Kabuto continued. So, while we're waiting to ambush them, they'll be trying to ambush us, said Naruto. Sakura said, Kabuto-san, what's the rest of the answer? This type of exam brings out another sort of enemy. I call them collectors. Kabuto replied. Kurama no Kyuubi. Collectors? Oh no. The elemental nations are about to be attacked by the Reapers. Collectors? Inquired Sakura. Even when you're standing at the tower door, and you think you're home free, don't relax your guard for an instant. The conditions of this exam are apt to give rise to them. Bottom feeders. They're the ones who may not be good enough to beat every enemy they find, so they try to get their hands on as many extra sets of scrolls as they can to buy themselves safe passage from anyone they can't or won't face fairly. Some of them also want to have extra scrolls to offer other teams from their home villages who may not have fared as well. Because if those teams are on their second or third attempts at passing the Chunin exams, the collectors can barter the surplus scrolls for advance intelligence about the next stages of the test. And there are those who aren't after your scroll, they're after your life. They want to eliminate strong teams now just so they'll have less competition to deal with as they move on to the third exam and beyond. And, as you can probably guess, most of these shrewd, ruthless teams never make the mistake of getting complacent or letting their own guard down. Those are the deadliest, and the worst, Kabuto explained. Kabuto didn't respond to Sasuke's statement, so, that's why you let your presence be known to us. You're vulnerable too. Safety in numbers, eh? According to Kabuto, right. The four of them were standing on a branch shortly after, in the middle of the night, with a distant view of the tower. We're in view of the tower. Here's where the fun really begins, said Kabuto. Before anyone noticed, Naruto said, then let's get going. Sakura questioned, an enemy, so soon? When they turned around and discovered it was only a huge centipede. Disappointed, Naruto uttered, "Ah, man, it's just a centipede." Sakura remarked, "A really big centipede, according to Sasuke, that is so gross." That might just have been a centipede, but next time it might be the real thing, so starting now, let's keep it quiet and remain out of sight. Kabuto continued. According to Naruto, gotcha. Sakura, still a little uneasy about the centipede, said, okay. According to Sasuke, right. After some time had passed, they were still walking and didn't appear to be approaching the tower because they were so tired. Sakura uttered the words, I'm sorry, I'm done, before passing out. Sakura. Chan. Shouted Naruto. I don't know how far we've come, but the tower never gets any closer, Sakura replied. As he turned to face the tower, which appeared to be no closer than before. Sasuke thought, she's right. It's bizarre. It's right in front of us, plain as day, said Naruto. Obviously, we're already enjoying some enemy's warm welcome, said Kabuto. What do you mean? Inquired Sakura. Sasuke speculated, a genjutsu. That's how it appears. And we were duped. Kabuto remarked, we've been circling around extremely cautiously. Sasuke added, and undoubtedly, being watched. It would be reasonable. Kabuto remarked, whoever did this is waiting for us to exhaust ourselves so they can move in and take us down. Sasuke remarked, then they must realize our strength is fading. Kabuto stated, so they'll make their moves soon. Sasuke uttered the words, right, just before a group of nins wearing black clothing emerged from the trees and earth. When Sasuke said, here they come, oh. Yes, it's almost the ideal handicap, Naruto remarked. There are a lot of them, not to mention all the clones. Kabuto replied. What the fuck? Sakura inquired. One of the clones exclaimed, heh, you're all trapped like rats. Guys, what should we do? Naruto inquired. Hey. Sasuke turned to Naruto and said, Naruto, let me show you why you can never reach my level. These guys are nothing. The Uchiha was then enveloped in a green aura before his shadow emerged from the earth and took on the shape of a minotaur, and Naruto turned to face Sasuke in bewilderment. Sakura thought, that's Sasuke-kun's shadow, minotaur. What? Do you also have a shadow? Naruto inquired. 2. As the blonde turned to face the nins, Sasuke pondered what Naruto was trying to say. Before he was enveloped in a blue aura and blue dragon emerged from the earth, Naruto remarked. Well, in that case, I suppose there'll be no harm in showing you. Before the Uchiha recalled something Orochimaru had said following Jiro's summoning of his shadow, Sasuke and Sakura pondered, Nani? A shadow of a minotaur, huh? Only dragon shadows and chimera shadows are said to be more potent than that, making it the third most potent type of shadow. Sasuke thought angrily, how does the Dobi of all people have a dragon? Alright, Teme. Let's see how adept you are at managing the power of your shadow, Naruto remarked. Hey. Dobi, whatever. I'm probably much better at that than you are. Let's kill these guys now, Sasuke remarked. Hey, Matt. Sakura uttered those words before approaching Sasuke. Hi. What do you think you're doing, Sakura-chan? Naruto inquired. Prior to being enveloped in a pink aura and phoenix emerging from the earth, Sakura declared, I'm going to help the two of you, Baka. Both Sasuke and Naruto thought, Sakura/Sakura.chan too? Alright, then. Here, it's Ikuzo, Sakura, and Naruto. Before they charged at the nins, Sasuke uttered those words. Sword of Wind. Naruto yelled before a wind-shaped sword materialized around Blue Dragon's hand and sliced through a group of nins. However, rather than plummeting to the ground, the nins' upper halves simply reattached themselves to their lower halves, seemingly composed of muck. What are they? Sasuke asked himself. This is new, isn't it? After that attack, they're still standing, the Minotaur remarked. All right, then. It's time for us to demonstrate our abilities. Sword of Fire, before the Uchiha ordered his shadow to defeat the nins. Sasuke yelled, and a fire sword materialized around the Minotaur's hand. But then, as he raised his right hand to the mark Orochimaru had given him, Sasuke felt a sting in his neck and fell to his knees. Sasuke-kun. When Sakura screamed, she didn't realize that one of the nins behind her had thrown a kunai at her. Kabuto caught her and threw the pinkette and himself to the ground, but the kunai still struck him in the shoulder. How are you, Sakura-chan? As Kabuto took the kunai from his shoulder and examined it, Naruto hurried over to the girl and asked. He thought, this is real, solid, and not an illusion. Surrender your scroll, said one of the nin. Before he got ready to perform another wind sword, Naruto asked himself, is this genjutsu after all? Which is it? Does the fact that they physically hurt Kabuto-san mean these guys are solid bunshins and not just illusions? Even when bunshins have some substance, they usually fade away once you beat them, and these guys are still here. Hold on. It's not good. After activating his Sharingan, Sasuke remarked, "They're just illusions. Genjutsu cast by the enemy." Sakura remarked, "But Kabuto, San's wound is real." Sasuke.kun is correct. From a nearby location, the illusionist observes and synchronizes the movements of the enemies we believe we are seeing with a real, physical attack. According to Kabuto, it strengthens our sense that the shadow shinobi we are battling are real. If so, I'll simply track down and kick the coward who is hurling kunai knives at us. Naruto uttered those words. No, despite his good nature, he can make us think that the kunai are approaching from any direction. Furthermore, Blue Dragon's nose will be useless because he has most likely covered up his scent. He's hoping we'll try, but we'll never find him that way. My experience has shown me that his kind are essentially weaklings when it comes to taijutsu. The real, physical enemy won't confront us until we are exhausted and defenseless. Our only option at the moment is to keep moving and stay out of their way, so remember your shadows, Kabuto remarked. Are you aware of shadows? Phoenix inquired. Kabuto stated, well, intelligence gathering is my forte. All right, then. Before Blue Dragon, Minotaur, and Phoenix were all recalled back into their respective master's shadow, Naruto uttered the words, if that's how it's going to be. A true aim. Nin remarked, I wonder how long they'll last. One more said, the night is still young, hehehe. The four Konoha. Nins kept avoiding every attack that was hurled at them, but as time passed, they were all beginning to grow weary. Exactly what the aim. Nins were hoping for. Oh, how long can they continue like this? Sakura shouted. How much longer can we? Naruto said, making a sign with his hands in the shape of a cross. No, Naruto.kun. Avoid wasting your chakra. We cannot benefit from a direct attack, Kabuto shouted. Whoever is creating the illusions couldn't simply throw kunai at us without us noticing where they're hiding if we were to dispel them all at once. Bunshin no Jutsu Cage. Before a group of cage bunshins puffed into being, Naruto uttered those words. Cage bunshins, thought one of the actual aim, Nins. Then, without thinking, Naruto and his clones charged at the illusions and began destroying them. One of the actual aim. Nins remarked, it would seem our best course is to increase our numbers. Then, as more illusions emerged from the ground, he laughed. When Naruto saw the new shadow ninja, he exclaimed, Kuso. After some time, all of Naruto's clones were eliminated when the original was launched skidding on his back in the direction of his fellow Konoha. Nins, who were all sitting on their knees and panting, as if they were out of chakra. Naruto uttered, that's all I got, hey, I think that's enough, Mubi, said one of the authentic aim. Nins. The person now known as Mubi remarked, it will be dawn soon, a good time for a hunt. We have been harassing their minds all night, hehehe. The aim. Nin's alleged leader remarked, all that remains is their bodies, easy prey, as the delusions vanished and he and his comrades emerged onto the battlefield. You are the one who injured my shoulder, and I know you. And now you're back, forcing us to work through the night. I'm so happy there's time for a little taste of pay. Back, the aim. Nin's leader remarked, ignoring Naruto's smirk as he turned to face Sasuke. Who is the trapped rat now? The aim. Nins noticed the Minotaur, Blue Dragon, and Phoenix when they turned to look behind them. Nani? Then, one of the aim. Nins glanced down at the ground and saw the shadows of Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke stretching past the aim. Nin's feet and up to where the three shadow creatures were approaching. Fire, wind. Naruto and Sasuke called out respectively and Blue Dragon flapped his wings to create powerful winds as Minotaur breathed a stream of fire. The two attacks then combined to form a firestorm. Kurama no Kyubi. I know Blue Dragon didn't use his wings for the wind spell before, but I just got the idea and he will be using the spell this way from now on. The three aim. Nins lay on the ground, covered in ashes, as the fires subsided. When Naruto approached the aim. Nins, he discovered the Earth Scroll they were seeking. Kurama no Kyubi. I am aware that they have a Scroll of Heaven in canon, but if they had it here, Team 7 would never have passed the second exam, and this whole battle would have been pointless. Hey, an Earth Scroll! Naruto exclaimed, grabbing it. Tower. Forest of Death. When the four of them arrived at the tower, two black clad Konoha. Nins came up to them. One of them exclaimed, "Huh? Oh, it's you guys, you're late, Kabuto." Kabuto apologized, saying, "I ran into a little trouble. But it's all good. Thanks to you, our group has a full set of scrolls, same as you do," Naruto replied. Kabuto turned to Team 7 and said, "This is the door we enter through. Good luck, everyone. Give it your best," before adding, "Don't thank me. You earned them." Naruto exclaimed, "Yeah," before he and his two companions moved in the direction of the door they were to enter. Tower, Kabuto team, and the Forest of Death. As Kabuto and his two teammates walked into the room, a voice asked, "What was the outcome?" Kabuto held up 3 cards and said, "I've kept a careful record of their progress throughout the second exam. I figure you'll need this. They've already exceeded all projections, sir." "And, how were they?" inquired the person Kabuto was speaking to. As he gave the cards to Orochimaru, the snake Sanin, Kabuto remarked, "Heh heh, it almost sounds like you're a little bit worried, Orochimaru, sama." As he examined the cards, Orochimaru remarked, "No, I'm just curious to hear your opinion, as one of my Auto Ninja spies." "Because, just like always, the decision is yours alone," Kabuto replied. Orochimaru shunned. "Hey, I do so enjoy your intelligence. Good work," he said. Tower, Forest of Death, and Team 7. When Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura entered a large room, they were taken aback by the lack of a greeter. Naruto uttered, "There's no one here." Sakura pointed up to a scroll on the wall and exclaimed, "Hey, look at that. If qualities of heaven are your desire, acquire wisdom and knowledge to take your mind higher. If earthly qualities are what you lack, train your body in the fields and prepare to attack. When both heaven and earth are open together, the path of peril will revert to the righteous path forever. This, something, is the secret way that guides us on from this place today. Signed, Sandaime Hokage." Naruto wrote. As Naruto held up the scrolls and handed Sasuke the Earth Scroll, Sakura remarked, "I think it refers to the scrolls. I think maybe it's telling us to open both the Heaven and Earth Scrolls, but..." Naruto questioned, "Well, what are we waiting for?" They opened the scrolls, but were taken aback to discover the kanji for the person inside before smoke abruptly emerged. Immediately realizing what was happening, they threw the scrolls away before a big puff of smoke appeared. "Why.you, re?" Sasuke exclaimed as he and the other two gaped at Amino Iruka's appearance. Iruka said, "Hey, kids, it's been a while, eh?" "I don't understand," exclaimed Sakura. "You 3 look like you've really been through the ringer," Iruka replied. "Huh? Iruka. Sensei, what are you doing, popping out of a summoning spell?" Naruto responded. "The spell was designed so that Chunin could greet the applicants at the end of the second exam. It was just luck that I got to be the messenger for the 3 of you," Iruka replied. "Messenger?" inquired Sakura. Iruka looked at his watch and exclaimed, "Yeah, you barely made it," before adding, "Congratulations, you've all passed the second exam. This calls for a celebration. I wish I could take you out for ramen at Ichiraku." Naruto yelled, "Yes," as he leapt at Iruka. Iruka responded, "Hey. Naruto. Let me finish." "I'm so happy," exclaimed Naruto. While Sakura and Sasuke sat on the floor, Sasuke remarked, "He keeps going, and going." Iruka questioned, "You haven't slowed down a bit, eh, Naruto?" In response, Sasuke said, "HMPH, exactly." Sakura pointed to the wall scroll and said, "Oh, right. Iruka. Sensei, what can you tell us about the wall scroll?" She went on to say, "It looks like moths have been at it, and we couldn't figure out what it means. Well, part of why I'm here is to make sure you understand the message of the scroll, so, read it again. It's the directive set down by the Sandaime Hokage for all Chunin level ninja," Iruka replied. "Directive?" inquired Naruto. "That's right, in the text, heaven refers to the human mind, and earth refers to the human body. If qualities of heaven are your desire, acquire wisdom and knowledge to take your mind higher." In other words, if Naruto's weakest area is his brain and academic knowledge, he needs to study hard and learn the principles that will help him on his missions. He needs to train his body in the fields and get ready to attack. If Sakura's weakness is her lack of strength and power, she needs to find the riches of physical stamina and skill. Once you access the qualities of both heaven and earth, no mission, no matter how dangerous, will be the wrong path for you. You'll be walking a safe path, even in the middle of the most dangerous mission. Sakura questioned, then, what about that blank space? What goes there? Before Iruka took one of the scrolls and presented it to the three genins. The word that goes there is a description of what a chunin should be. The single character that belongs in the blank space is the one from the interior of the scrolls. It's Jin, meaning one person or all people. The challenge of seeing who survived these past 5 days was part of the exam designed to test the applicant's basic chunin abilities. You all passed with flying colors. Chunin are the unit commander class, responsible for leading their teams. They can only do so by a combination of intelligence and strength. I can't emphasize it enough. Learn it, live it. Believe it from the bottom of your heart. Keep the chunin directive in your mind as you move on to the next exam. That's it, that's the entire message. Iruka continued. Yes, sir. Naruto saluted to the man. But, about the third exam, don't overdo things. Especially you, Naruto. I worry about you. Iruka replied. The day I got the Konoha graduation hit 8.8, I stopped being a student. No need to worry about me. It's proof of my maturity, and I got it from you, Iruka. Sensei. My temper hasn't changed any, and maybe I'm impulsive and full of energy, but I'm not a kid, I'm a full-fledged shinobi. You got that? Said Naruto.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.